Good evening, folks. I am here with the lovely Lady Heithrun. How are you doing tonight?
I am just peachy keen. How are you doing tonight, Aurini?
I'm doing not too shabby, actually. I had a wonderful date last night that wound up with her screaming at the top of her lungs and storming off, and even refusing a ride back to her car.
I hope you gave her reason to scream.
I said that trannies were a genetic dead end. And she said, what about the ones that adopt kids? I'm like, well, they're not adopting their kids, are you? All I'm saying is that cutting your dick off is a genetic dead end, and she didn't like that. So that was quite the adventure.
Sounds like it. I'm about ready to build an ark here. We've had 2 straight days of rain, and it's supposed to continue through tomorrow. So it's very, very wet here.
Oh, man, we already got a good question from Ian McDonald asking, is it a bad thing that I want to garrot this asshole that I know? Remember, guys, you don't choke a man, you strangle a man. Choking is when you get food in your throat. Strangulation is when you're trying to kill them. So don't fuck up your grammar like a moron. So yeah, it's I know. Hey, by the way, guys, Heithrun hates hearing about my tot stories because she finds them so incredibly tedious. I find the tedium amusing because, well, if you don't find tedium amusing, you're going to really hate the modern era.
I'm just a practical lady, that's all.
Speaking of the modern era, the title of this live stream, This Ain't No Place for No Hero. That is there's a link down below to the song. That is the theme song from Borderlands 2, a game I ought to really like that I absolutely despise because it just absolutely reeks of social justice and millennial entitlement and amorality. Like, the only couple in the entire game that looks like they have any potential of producing children is a big black buck and a skinny white girl. I despise the goddamn game. And all the enemies. It's like there's this coldness that people are just there to be used and murdered, and it's okay. And this is such an entitled little millennial mindset. And you know, you really want to understand Borderlands 2, you got to watch that asshole. What is his name? Matt Pack or something like that. The guy that does game theories. Yeah, look at that creepy little fuck's soulless, dead eyes. And it's constant chirpy, I got a gold star from teacher attitude. Listen, I'll tell you why I hate Matt Pack so much, is because he's actually really smart. I think he's an ENTP. Okay, same personality type as me. That's like 2% of the population. Except he has no soul. It got sucked straight out his anus. Hey, do you have any thoughts on this?
Oh, there's an echo.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Okay. What are we talking about again? What's the subject? Hello?
Back.
Okay, now you're back. What is the subject in question?
I don't know. This is more, I know you haven't played the game. It's kind of a weird mix between first-person shooter and Mad Max. And it's got really, really interesting graphics. They somehow, in a first-person shooter where you're walking around, everything looks like a comic book, with really dark lines around everything and bright colors. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing how they do that. I really ought to like this game, but I just can't stand it. Like, they go out of their way to point out that the main character guy, Axton is his name, that Axton is bisexual. By the way, he's bisexual. Just in case you were wondering.
Now, I'm familiar with To Keep on the Borderlands, but that's an old D&D game.
Absolutely superior to this game. But you know what? The title from it, or the titular song, This Ain't No Place for No Hero. Now, somebody in the comments earlier commented that's an appropriate name because everybody in that game is a complete piece of shit. Okay? All of the protagonists, all of the villains, there's not a single character with any redeeming qualities whatsoever. They all should be put to death. Dashing Rogue sends US $5 and says, it's Space Australia, Aurini. Everything in Pandora, that's the planet it happens on, everything in Pandora wants to kill you like in real Australia. Also, MatPat is base, don't mess with him, he is successful. Yeah, he's successful at appealing to a generation that has zero standards whatsoever. Okay, the guy enjoyed, what Life is Tumblr, Life is Strange, that brain-dead non-game of a game. He enjoyed that. Hey, Throom, Life is Tumblr is a game where you play this entitled little shit-stained 21-year-old girl who's winning photography awards at a West Coast college for taking selfies of herself. Do I need to tell you anything more about the game?
No, sounds very entertaining.
And it's not even a game, okay? It's like you walk through the story and then you have to hold the A button to open a door, and then you keep walking, and then you hold B button to turn on the water fountain.
So glad. Oh, go ahead.
He played through it. I downloaded that damn thing. I lasted all of 10 minutes before I just like, well, I can't care about this at all.
Should have enjoyed a nice game of Pathfinder.
Exactly, something with a plot to it.
And some socialization.
Oh, I like Undertale too. Did he? Wait. Just like he gave Undertale to the Pope? Okay, Undertale is another one of these games. I'm not quite sure what it's about, but I am absolutely positive it has to do with this regressed childishness of the millennials. You play as a little boy in the game that's, I don't know, searching for mummy or something. And there's a couple of sarcastic skeletons that all these millennial girls have started drawing porn of the skeleton characters.
Oh, so it's like real life. Little millennial boys, looking for mom.
Yep, and
sorry, I couldn't.
Girls that want to get raped by werewolves and vampires and
yeah. That sounds like the dating scene.
Yeah, pretty much. But I actually had something a little bit more constructive with this title. This ain't no place for no heroes.
Is that a double negative? So I guess that means it's a place for heroes?
Millennials don't study grammar.
Oh, that's right.
My point with this is that, well, what happens? Actually, wait, before I get to this, I got to give you my review of Avengers Infinity War. And it's a pretty quick review because I've only watched an hour of the film. I might eventually watch the rest of it. I don't know. All right. So first of all, the title should not have been Avengers Infinity War. The title of the film should have been Me and My Faggot Friends Somehow Saved the Universe, even though we've never accomplished anything or been in a fistfight in our entire lives. Because every single goddamn character in that movie, they all have these magic bullshit powers, and not a single one of them acts like a man. Every single one of them acts like a 14-year-old boy. The movie literally opens with Tony Stark. And hey, are you familiar with Tony Stark? Iron Man?
Yeah, Iron Man.
He's like badass Mr. Big Dick Rich Alpha dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
The movie starts off with him begging Pepper Potts, who looks like his mom. He's begging this old hag to please have his babies. And the old hag, who has all 3 eggs left, says, not until you get rid of your motorcycle, Tony. It's too dangerous. Like, really?
They're supposed to start... Oh, I'm getting echo from you again. They're supposed to start betifying the guy after they secure his economic interest in them. Not before.
All right, back.
Okay. You didn't hear what I said.
I completely missed it. Can you say it again?
I said they're supposed to start betifying the man after they have secured their economic interest in him. Not before.
It's such an absolute, but this is the modern relationship, right? Little boy pretends to be an alpha, and then he meets a girl that cuts his dick off. And they both pretend that they're happy with this. And maybe they are happy with this. I don't know.
See, that's what you get for pretending to be an alpha.
Exactly.
Impersonating an alpha will attract an alpha girl.
Who is, yeah, exactly. Don't impersonate, guys. Become. I mean, there's a little bit of fake it till you make it, but eventually you got to make it.
Yeah, a woman's biological imperatives will always sniff out the true from the false.
I guess one other thing that drives me nuts about these damn Marvel movies is that there's no consistency, there's no logic to any of the fight scenes, right? It's like, what is the tensile strength of the Hulk's skin? And, you know, I can already hear somebody saying, oh, it's just a movie. Why are you overthinking it? I'm overthinking it. Well, first of all, I'm not overthinking it. I'm thinking. Because part of a man's duty is to figure out how things work and to understand safety protocols, to understand machines, to understand, for instance, that a motorcycle helmet, unlike a fragmentation helmet, which is really hard so that, you know, small caliber bullets and fragments will bounce off of it, that a motorcycle helmet is a crumple zone. It's meant to slow the impact of you hitting the sidewalk from 1/1000th of a second to 1/100th. Because the latter one, your brain might not turn to mush and you'll still be alive. So, given that I know this, when I see Tony Stark flying at 60 miles an hour and he hits something that now has him flying 60 miles an hour in the opposite direction, I don't care what sort of magical bullshit space titanium he has on his suit. His brain is jello. And if you're a man, you ought to know these things. If you're a man, you ought to know that walking around holding a 30-round chain of ammo with a machine gun doesn't mean you can fire out 2,000 bullets. See, Dashing Rogue says, so you want a Nolan version of the Marvel movies. No, I want no more Marvel movies. I want people to start watching movies for adults, because these Marvel movies are movies for 14-year-old boys.
That means people should go back and watch the heroic films of the 80s. Like, go watch Excalibur and Conan.
Oh, Conan's... These are decent movies. And the thing is, they are a bit cheesy, but you know they're cheesy.
I don't know. Excalibur was pretty good.
I think I saw that one, but it was so long ago.
And the original Conan was pretty good too. Now the two films that followed, those were cheesy. Conan the Destroyer and Red Sonja. Oh yeah, those were like cheese whiz on steroids.
But here's the thing I was saying about don't be a hero. Because what happens when somebody wants to be a hero these days? Well, either they're going to go imitate this Marvel movie crap, right? And it's like, guys, that's not what a hero looks like. Okay, Conan's not a bad example. He's a pretty good example of a hero, especially if you read the novels.
Mm-hmm.
But a hero is not fucking Iron Man with his Google glasses and sucking up to his elderly wife. That's not a hero. That's a nice guy. You know what else you might want to become if you try and be a hero? You might want to be what is a sinner? What does the word sin mean? Well, the word sin derives from the term missing the mark. As in, you're trying to get a bullseye, but you get the third circle. That's okay. You're still learning. Readjust. You know, when the Bible says we're all sinners, it doesn't mean we walk around wearing hair shirts and flagellating ourselves. It means you get back up and you try again. Humbleness does not mean... Actually, like, hey, Thrune, what would a heathen say about hubris, particularly in the Greek sense?
Well, I mean, I don't know that we really have an equivalent of that in our heathen mythology, but in the Havamal, it speaks of, not making a fool of yourself. Now, a man who who has accomplished great deeds or who has the competence to back up his boasts, that would be considered a perfectly acceptable thing. But a guy who can't deliver on what he's promising, that's just foolish.
What the Greeks would warn about? What oh my goodness, what is that ancient myth, the Sumerian legend, the king?
Sumerian? Marduk?
Not Marduk. There
was the battle between Marduk and Tiamat. That's Sumerian.
Well, basically, the story goes like this: is basically this king decides that he is going to life is not enough, and he goes out and seeks out immortality. Gilgamesh, thank you, the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Oh, that's Babylonian.
Babylonian, my bad. It's one of those Middle Eastern cities.
Right.
So Gilgamesh, he goes to the ends of the earth to try and achieve immortality, and he gets there, and he finds the one man that was turned immortal. But it's the guy that was turned immortal. It's like, dude, I was an exception, all right. And trust me, immortality isn't really all it's knocked up to be. In fact, what you should do, Gilgamesh, is you need to go back and you have a family and enjoy the summer breeze and raise your children and build a community and live a meaningful life. This is the lot of man. Man is not meant to be a god. Right, this is the hubris of the Greek tragedies, where the characters try and become more than mere mortals, and they trip themselves up and destroy themselves.
Heathenry would actually disagree on that point.
Because, well, how you phrase it.
Okay. Well, I mean, some interpretations of our mythology take the position that Odin, for example, was a man who became a god. That godhood is something that is possible for all of us.
But he became it through his actions, not his declarations.
That's correct. He earned it.
Steve Jobs declared himself a god. And he was a god that was so much wiser than any mere mortal. And then he ignored the advice of his doctors and died of an easily curable form of cancer.
That's hubris.
Exactly. And so this is what the Bible is talking about when it says be humble. It does not mean go around saying, oh, who am I to judge all the refugees flooding my country? Who am I to judge? That's not what it means at all. What else? What other cucky behaviors do we get out of the church? Now, you could point to the current love with equality in it.
Equality?
Yeah. Just because all of our souls have equal weight, or at least equal potential, doesn't mean that outside of the church everyone's the same.
I don't know that all souls do have equal weight.
Oh, I think you start off with potential, and a lot of people squander it.
Depends on one's interpretation of the soul. I mean, if you believe that you come into the world a blank slate, a tabula rasa, so to speak, then I could see taking that position. But if you believe that it's possible for the soul to evolve through many incarnations, then some people may have more weight to their soul than others.
I think the thrust of it is more that each soul does have worth. That
yes.
Somebody, by their they can dissipate that worth. They can throw it all away. But they innately have worth. It does not mean that the peasant and the king are equals.
No.
But here's the problem. So if you try and be a hero, if you try and be a good guy, either you're going to latch on to this 14-year-old concept of heroism from the Marvel movies, or you're going to latch on to this weakness, this effeminacy, this simulation of goodness that a lot of Christians are pushing these days.
Well, it's because it's easy. That's the easy path. To actually become something of worth, well, that takes work. It takes industry and courage and wisdom and a lot of other virtues that a lot of people don't want to cultivate.
And that's why I like this title. This ain't no place for no hero. I want barbarians and pirate captains
and knights,
adventurers. Let's see. Oh, we got Forney in the chat. He's up pretty late. Jeez, we got 4 downvotes already.
Wow. Yeah, I think your enemies might be targeting you.
Somebody's Jimmy's got rustled.
Mm.
By the way, Forney, if you feel like jumping in, feel free to fire me a message.
Yeah, I was surprised to not see Matt in the
he's in
the
a
Hangouts
different time zone now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he moved to the state of Georgia.
Oh, that's right. He did mention that last stream. Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for the upvotes, guys. Oh boy, I really don't have too much to say about Goad. I've really said everything I have. It's interesting. I think he's been angry at me for a very long time, though.
Mm-hmm.
Which is again, that's interesting, but largely irrelevant because who gives a shit what he thinks?
Yeah, that's old news.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I recently appeared on another live stream, and towards the end of it, the host and I were talking about how it's just not worth it to waste energy on, talking about negative experiences with negative people. You just feed that when you do that, It's like, again, it's like giving them something that they haven't earned. Why give them that energy?
Yeah, I really like that portion.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this goes with Psalm 1:1. Blessed is he who does not take counsel with the wicked, does not stand in the path of sinners, and does not sit in the seat of scoffers. Right? Like if somebody's coming at you, 9 times out of 10, it's you know what? Okay, I got to go back to dating these tots. Hey, through.
By all means, get it out of your system.
Well, it's so damned amusing because I swear to God, people have actually regressed in maturity. So
is that possible?
So
let me get this right. They're not infantile. They're fetal.
This girl, I swear to God, this happened. So she had to cancel on Friday night. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I guess we could do Saturday. Like she had a legit reason, supposedly a legit reason. Okay, it's like I'm not doing anything Saturday. I'm free. And then she keeps messaging me, and I say something. She's like, "You're arrogant. I don't want to meet you. You're too arrogant." I'm like, okay. Then the next day, she phones me and hangs up.
Sounds crazy.
She phones me and hangs up. It's like a little girl in a schoolyard running up to a boy and saying, "I hate you," and then running away, hoping that he'll chase her.
This is so predictable.
Well, and you know what? There was another incident. I'm not going to name the name here. Right? But there's another incident where somebody was going, "Notice me, senpai, notice me." And it's like, no, I'm not going to notice you. And you just want to fight with me. You just you'd like positive attention, but you'll accept negative attention.
That's what they do.
It's like wrestling with the pig. You get covered in shit and the pig enjoys it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really like that portion of your live stream. By the way, what's her name again, so people can Google that if they want to see it?
Oh, her name is Carolyn Emmerich. And, well, I don't have mod status, but if you want to copy and paste the link to the, well, it's not a live stream now, but the recorded podcast, you could put it in the chat if anyone's interested.
Let's see. You know what? Give me a second here. I'm going to find that.
Sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a great chat. I mean, it was all about heathen stuff, so I'm just letting people know that, it was about Germanic paganism and ethnos and things of that nature. But I really enjoyed the conversation, and I think she and I are going to do another one at some point here in hopefully the not too distant future. Oh, and by the way, I will be on John Steele's live stream this Wednesday.
Speaking of, Steele wants to join us, so I'm going to send him a link.
Oh, bring him on in, and we'll plug his live stream.
Yeah, he's always got good things to say.
Yeah.
All right, so I sent him the link just now.
Great.
But yeah, there's so many of these damn people that, like, I swear to God, like, how old was this woman? She was in her early 30s. She's in her early 30s, and she's throwing. And you know, this is the one that stormed off. By the way, I want to go back to this word "nice," okay? Because this is all I did was point out that homosexuality, transsexuality, it's a genetic dead end, which it is. I wasn't casting aspersions on anybody or saying let's throw them off the rooftops. I'm just saying it's a genetic dead end. And she flipped out and said, well, what about the ones that adopt? Still genetic dead end, sweetheart. Because nice, it comes from ne scire. And for this woman, you had to not notice things. You know, it's really striking me. You know, like I look at the brainwashing that you get with the subtle shit in movies and whatnot, that like the really subtle brainwashing. I realized talking to this woman, I'm like, holy shit, you're the one, you just saw a video on Facebook about some Navy guy who's a cross-dresser and he entertains his submates. And now you're pro-tranny. 10 years ago, you would have been laughing at trannies. Now you're pro-tranny because you saw 2 fucking videos that were sponsored by a corporation on Facebook.
I'm going to say hello to John, and then do you want my psychoanalysis of this?
Oh, absolutely. And Steele, thanks for joining us. Can you give us
no, thanks for having me. I just want to say one thing to Hey Thrune. I am stealing that line that you said to Davis. They are not infantile, they're fetile.
That's right.
I haven't heard that before. I just have to say that I can't wait to use that in a real life discussion. You could wait 3 lifetimes to use that line. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Oh, and if they're really bad guys, then I guess we could say they've regressed to an embryonic state. I mean, like how far back?
That's where we're going. Yeah.
Twinkle in their daddy's eye state. I mean, I don't know.
That's a mother's eye. It's an itch in the daddy's pants. But
okay.
Remember, degenerates are just a gamete's way of making more gametes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Please continue, Davis, with your story. All right. Hey, Drew,
psychoanalysis.
The psychoanalysis. I mean, these are fatherless girls who are looking for a daddy to spank them and give them some boundaries, a little dominance and some boundaries. That's what she's fishing for. It's just one big shit test.
Well, at the same time, she's looking for a daddy. Well, that's why she's attracted to me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, she wants to prove that there are no daddies. So the whole thing is her. She is shit. She's trying to get me to cuck myself. She's trying to get me to beg for her pussy. It's like, honey, I don't need it that badly. I mean, I'm good for you. I'm sure it's a very pretty one. All right, I'm a big fan of the vertical seafood taco. All right, but it's like, no, I'm not going to act like a cuck for it.
Another line I'm stealing.
I'm taking notes there.
I'm taking. Good thing it's being recorded. I can't wait to use these lines.
Oh, they say it's from Monaco, a different kind of taco.
Steele, you can use this on your next date.
From the sea.
Might come in handy.
It smells fishy and looks unpleasantly squishy, but it tastes so right to me.
Don't quit your day job, Aurini.
Yeah. You have a lot of talents, but that ain't one of them, brother. Well, I'm sorry I missed the very beginning of the show. How are you guys doing? Yeah, everybody doing well? I'm hoping.
Doing great here, other than potentially getting rained out. I was telling Aurini I'm ready to start building an ark. We've had 2 straight days of rain, and it's supposed to rain clear through till tomorrow.
Oh, I got a personal anecdote I think I'll share with the world.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my parents are from the old country, and my mother recently just got back from a trip to Ireland. She hadn't been there in, I don't know, 40 years or something. And long boring story. My parents are divorced. I think everyone knows that. But she found out by speaking to her ex-brother-in-law that apparently I have a half sister living somewhere in England, but I have no way of contacting her, who was put up for adoption.
That's intense.
It's pretty wild, right, to find that out?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to bring everybody down. I just thought an interesting anecdote because I just spoke to my mother last night. So
No, that is.
I kind of wonder if she's like just a version of you with long hair, where she just goes out into public and harasses the fuck out of people all the time.
Hey, I don't do that all the time.
Hey, how do we know Steele doesn't have long hair? You know,
No, I don't have long.
he might be a Conan in his own right over there.
I keep it pretty short. No, I don't. No, I never. I didn't even realize. I didn't like long hair since I was like, I don't know, 12 or something.
Yeah, I got to commission a picture of Steele, and it's just gonna be him sitting in with like a, a kind of a, like, not a scruffy suit, but just a casual suit with a shadow over his face, holding a cigar, and just a little thought bubble that says, "Listen, kid, if I want smoke blown up my ass, I'd go home with my cigar and a short length of tubing."
Another line. All right.
Here we go.
That was a Simpsons line that I stole. Just
is that a Simpson? Oh, that's okay.
It's a good fucking line, though.
Good. You know what? You did spark something, a thought of mine. You were talking about the way people are being conditioned now. Like you said, like 10 years ago or less than that, she would have thought that trannies are, she would have laughed at this. I don't know if any of you remember a television show. It was popular, I believe, in its day, called The West Wing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this show had such subtle programming. It was written by Sorkin, is his name. And he is a real typical Hollywood liberal member of a specific tribe. And I remember there was one episode of the show where the president was in New York to watch a Broadway show. I think it was The Roses. It was a combination of all the different all the different Shakespearean films about Shakespearean plays, rather, like a condensed version of them. And while this was happening, there's like split scenes where they actually show the one scene where they actually show what's on stage. It's actually a black kid performing in a Shakespeare play. And while that's happening, there's two white guys holding up a convenience store in New York City who end up shooting a off-duty Secret Service agent.
All those white convenience store robbers in New York City.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, like, do you know what the breakdown of statistics on violent crime is in New York? Based on, white people do not commit violent crime in New York. You got a better chance. I'm not saying they don't, but the odds of doing that, and how many black people do you have performing in Shakespearean plays? And I was just like, oh my God, this is like just so. Just the programming on this show was so unbelievable. Like the subtle programming.
Well, there is Othello.
There is Othello, yes. There is Othello.
Don't forget. What Titus Andronicus? There's a black guy in that.
Yeah, but I don't think in any of the King Henry VIII or the or any of those. Or I'm trying to remember the Shakespeare.
I'm actually kind of joking, guys. Go look at the soliloquy from the black guy in Titus Andronicus. He's also a Muslim in ancient Rome because Shakespeare didn't give a F.
Well, a Muslim in ancient Rome. That's pretty funny.
Well, we had a black guy play Thor, so nothing is sacred.
Oh, we had a black guy play Achilles.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
No, it wasn't Thor. It was shoot, I should know this name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Heimdall.
Heimdall, yes.
Which actually is even more absurd, considering that in the lore, Heimdall is said to be the whitest of the gods.
Yeah, well, it's no accident.
Mm-hmm.
There's another episode of that West Wing show where they talked about the Mercator projection map, which the Mercator projection map is the big square flat map that you probably saw growing up in your schools that tends to really distort the northern countries to make them look a hell of a lot bigger than they actually are.
Yeah, Europe.
And well, Europe's a little bit distorted. It's more northern Canada and Greenland that are hugely distorted. Like Greenland on the map looks like twice the size of Australia when it's about 1/3 the size of Australia. And it actually is a terrible map because a better map is one where you split it into two, like you make two globes, right? And you split it along the middle. That's going to give you a better perspective of things. But here's any map whatsoever is going to distort things. You're taking a round object and you're projecting it onto a flat surface. So even a map of your city, the center is going to be the most accurate. It's the far corners are going to be slightly distorted. Now, what they've done is there's this complete BS argument out there that the Mercator projection is some sort of white supremacy meme. And they introduced this on the West Wing. They did it in a half comedic way. But the fact of the matter is that it's such a terrible map that anybody who sees like, well, yeah, why did they do it that way? Well, I mean, it has some uses, right? You've got the longitude and lat lines. They line up very nicely on it. It's got some purposes. It's not completely useless.
Oh, come on! Don't you know that all educated people now accept that the world is flat? Come on, man! Get on board with the flat Earth theory.
No, I actually, you know what? I'm remembering this episode now, and they said it was because of it was like Eurocentric and some other nonsense like that. I do remember them saying that.
Yeah, and they did it half jokingly, but it still sticks in your brain, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there was all this like little subtle like bits of white guilt and all this other kind of stuff. And also, what really annoyed me about that show was the way they portrayed politicians as being in any way altruistic.
I far prefer Yes Minister for an accurate portrayal of politicians.
I think more like House of Cards or what. I mean, I didn't really care for House of Cards, but I mean, just the idea of they're extremely Machiavellian, and they're totally about themselves. Like they don't give a flying F about their constituents,
But to go back to the propaganda thing, what's really getting me? So again, I come back from the State with this chick where she completely flips out over, an objective fact. I wasn't saying we should put trannies to death or anything. Yeah, hell,
because that would get you banned from YouTube. But other than
listen, I consider Justine Tunney a friend, and you know what? He would not be bent out of shape over any of this. But it's I come home, I go on Facebook. And scrolling down, there are 2 different videos promoting transsexualism. And these are not videos being shared by my friends. These were sponsored. Some corporation was sponsoring these damn videos. And of course, they've got the happy ukulele music. Oh, this is friendly. This is normal. This is happy. Yes, we've got this second lieutenant in the Navy who likes to dress in drag and parade around the ship. That's normal, that's happy, that's appropriate, that's the U.S. military.
Oh, God. Oh, super chats, buddy, super chats.
Oh, yeah, we got Dash and Rope there. Keep in mind, when you're dealing with crime stats, you must be caught to count towards the stats. Well, actually, they actually do keep pretty good stats. Like, there's generally somebody, like, you'll know what race, with certain crimes, you'll know what the accused race is. And EC2189 Kaku sends $5 and says, most of the wealthy and important people I visited in my childhood had a globe in their libraries. Well, yeah, again, that's part of having some culture. I don't know if that actually teaches you anything, but it's classy to have a globe. But by the way, guys, why is it always the same people sending super chats? What's that all about?
Oh, those are loyal fans.
That's right.
That they are. And by the way, guys, if you appreciate Hey Thrun joining me on this, she has finally set up a Patreon, so you can toss her some mammons as well.
Oh, I appreciate that, Aurini.
Yeah, link down below to that and her Facebook page if you haven't been kicked off yet.
Hey, don't invite any trouble. I try to keep it clean, you know?
Lots of things that we don't need to actually discuss, so we can just talk around the issue.
I'm a good.
It's gotten really bad though. The social media, like
it really has.
Funniest thing about this woman. So she was Lebanese, and I started pointing out, there's a certain group of people that really, really hates Europeans and Christians. And she said, "Is it the X group?" I'm like, "Why, yes, it is." And then later on in the conversation, she started spouting their propaganda. So I was very amused by that.
It's cognitive dissonance, baby.
Big time.
Yep. And CRM Sanders sends you us $10. Please discuss the New York Times article. He asked permission to touch but not to ghost by a woman who said her Tinder hookup didn't call again. Okay. Yeah, we can discuss that.
Yeah, no, I'd like to know about this. I don't know.
I haven't heard about it either.
Yeah, can you give some of the backstory? So, because I didn't read the article, because I don't read the New York Times. But anyway, go ahead.
I caught that.
You got such a weird speech impediment, brother.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a thing I'm working on. I go to a therapist, a speech therapist. Go ahead. Backstory. All right.
I need to send Steele some super chats for that one.
All right. So here's what happened. So this woman wrote an article stating that she hooked up with this guy and he was hugely into consent. Can I touch your boob? Can I touch your thigh? And like all of that and absolute nonsense, right? But then he ghosted on her after they slept together. And ghosting should be considered a form of rape, according to her. I'm dead fucking serious.
What?
And yeah. Ghosting, sleeping with the girl in a one-night stand and then not calling her back should be a form of rape. I can only presume that if she ghosts on him, if she sleeps with the guy and she's like, he had a smelly wiener. If he pursues her after that, that's also a form of rape.
Or if they better not make this ex post facto law, because if they do, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in prison for the shit I did in my 20s. I ghosted on a lot of women back then.
Women or girls?
Oh, well,
they turn themselves into girls, don't they?
Did they regress to an embryonic state?
Yeah, they regress. I had some psychotic chicks. I mean, I'll tell you one time about the one who slashed all my tires.
Oh, they regressed to a reptilian state.
Yeah, something else. I mean, yeah, if it was infantile or embryonic, it would have been safer. I mean, I actually had a real life bunny boiler.
Wow, that's scary, man.
Donovan said I really need to read this article. All right, well, maybe I'll break down and read that rag.
No, I don't know. There's really that much. It's good Lord. Again, these infantile women think that men should be reading their minds and doing whatever they want, and anyone who doesn't do what they want, well, that's rape.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there's an old interview I did with Blonde in the Belly of the Beast. I think it's might be 2 years old now, or maybe it's more than that. And she was talking about how she went on a date and the guy was doing this, like, can I do this? Can I do that? And she was like, for fuck's sake, just, throw me down and fuck me, And she was like, what's, she was sincerely perplexed. She said, what is it with with millennial men? She said they're so lacking in testosterone. It was just driving her insane that she couldn't meet a guy that was, had nads.
EC2189 Kaku says, wham, bam, you go to jail, man.
There's some pearls in here, guys. You guys are good tonight. You all the guys in the chat, man.
I hate to say it, present company excluded, of course, but a lot of Gen X guys are like that too. I mean,
they're buying into the propaganda. Again, it's like this girl. She watched 3 YouTube videos about trannies, and I guess she thinks that's popular now, so she agrees with it. Nobody who speaks German could be an evil man. I mean, like, Jesus Christ.
Well, again, these guys don't have fathers, so there's nobody to show them what a man is and how to be a man. They
don't have any core values. They don't have any rock. They don't have any center to their personality whatsoever. And yet at the same time, they are the most judgmental fucks out there. It's to go all Jordan Peterson for a sec. You kind of have the two extremes. You've got like the too much of the patriarchy, too much of the rock, and you have too much of the chaos, too much of the wind, right? Where you kind of need to balance. You need to have a core to your personality, but you need to be open to new experiences. Well, these people have no core whatsoever to their personality. They go wherever the wind blows, and yet they are completely closed to new experiences, to new ideas that disagree with whatever the fad is.
I see a lot of these millennial guys walking around with their mouths open.
I think that's always been a thing.
What is with that?
Mouth breather was one of our insults back in my military unit. You fucking mouth breather.
Yeah, what is that? I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. What?
You see this too? It's not just me, right?
Yeah, I live in Seattle, so I see all this freakish shit. But yeah, what is this about?
I've always hated mouth breathers. I see one, I just want to put the lash to them and have them till my field.
Oh, Ducky Man said it right there. Soy face. Yeah, that's what they look like. It's like a condition, Oh, he has soy face. Look at that.
Oh, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's the soy. There's something in the water here in Seattle. That's why I have a really good filter. But I don't know what it is in Seattle. Where is it? The air? I got an air filter. I got a water filter. So I don't want to catch this soy disease that's going around.
there was Rushby. Oh, and by the way, shout out to Rushby. He just released his book Game. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I hear very, very, very good things about it. There's also a deal that expires tomorrow to get the book and audiobook as a bundle. So if you're interested, check it out. He also got kicked off of YouTube for 3 months because of his video from a year ago asking the question, do girls that wear chokers want to be treated like dogs? Because they're wearing dog collars. And it was just a video asking the question, got him 3 months. It's hate speech. It's hate speech to criticize women that wear dog collars around their neck.
Wow.
And by the way, Mark D sends a $2 super chat, says, what would it take for you to make up with Beckloff? Beckloff has to stop attacking the Catholic Church every 5 fucking minutes. It's like he needs to have a reasonable conversation instead of trying to reenact the 30 Years' War. It's and I don't think he wants to have a reasonable conversation. So,
well, actually, what would really do it is if Davis would make up with him if he allowed me to blood eagle him.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I would have so much respect for him.
Can I watch?
I knew you were going to say something like that.
Wait, listen. He posted some funny memes on my Discord. All right, like I'm not. Guys, I've got better shit to do than hate on Beckloff, okay? Like, I'll hate on Jim Gove way before I hate on Beckloff.
I think what it is, David, I think you had said somewhere that you no longer have any interest in refighting the 30 Years' War. That's...
Well, okay, you know what? I'm going to briefly address this because I know, Steele, you tweeted me about this. Last night, Beckloff said that everybody in the Catholic Church is partly responsible for the rape of children. Okay, that's as stupid as saying every American is responsible for what Hillary Clinton is doing with her pizza parties, or that every American is responsible because some Chinese get imported to be servants at old age home and then get deported afterwards and just treated like shit the whole time. Everybody, in America is responsible. I was like, no,
Well,
that's
like collective guilt.
all that is saying, yo, man, this institution's corrupt. I'm going to take my toys and go home. Vietnam War, more like, fuck it, Nam War, man. That's not cool, man. I'm going to move to Canada. It's like, guys, you got to get in to get out. All right. And I'm not hearing a lot of solutions. The world's fucked up. I'm trying to do what I can in my corner of it.
So CRM Sanders is saying, I think liberal women secretly desire Islamic male domination. Let me tell you something. They probably subconsciously just desire some kind of male domination because the males in their own society are so damn weak.
Yeah, they're craving masculinity on a subconscious. I mean, the masculine craves the feminine craves the masculine. That's just how we evolved.
Right. There's such a shortage of masculinity in the
Possible
society.
correctness.
Just I brought up Rushby for a reason, because he wrote a book called Don't Bang Denmark. And in it, he said, like, listen, it's easy to get laid in Denmark. It's just the most depressing thing in the world. To get laid in Denmark, all you have to do is sit there and let her lecture you about feminism and multiculturalism for an hour and a half, and then she will take you back to her place and have very tepid sex with you. And you know what? The date I was on the other night, that's what this girl wanted. She wanted me to act like a cuck. She wanted me to be a pussy and ask for permission. She didn't want me to be sexy. She didn't want me to be masculine. She wanted me to role play into her world that there are no men.
Yeah. So she
Like,
kind of wanted you to be,
everywhere is Denmark at this point.
yeah, she wants you to be a doll, basically.
Just a toy that she can switch on and switch off at her convenience.
Which makes her miserable in the long run. And by the way, we've got Billy the Conqueror. Thanks for joining us. What's on your mind, brother?
Oh, not too much. Last night there was a Red Religion podcast I was a part of where we were commenting on a debate between Richard Carrier and I think her name is S.J. Richardson. She's like the Christian apologist.
How'd she hold it? Carrier's gay, isn't he?
He's like apparently heathenist or at least some form of degenerate. But basically, the debate was about whether or not you need a god for morality, and it was an okay debate. Although I felt like with her, she kind of was focusing coming at from the her morality from an equality standpoint, which kind of plays into the hands of like left wing atheists.
You know, I honestly, I just feel like we've moved past. Maybe it's just me, right? Because I'm getting older. But I've moved past the stage of debate. Like, my question is, what is somebody building? Like, for example, let's say I met an atheist that was really into Nietzsche and trying to be the Ubermensch, right? Trying to go over and reconstruct heroic masculinity, heroic morality in this godless world. I could probably work with that guy.
What's going to hold him to his bond?
Well, good question, but let's be perfectly frank, hey Thrun. All these lefty heathens, what the hell's going to hold them to their bond?
Well, I don't consider the lefty heathens true heathens.
They're actually trying to create a religion to go along with their social agenda.
I'm no longer allowed to be a part of their club.
Oh yeah, did you talk about that publicly yet?
No, and I don't want to mention the organization or the event, but yeah, I've been banned.
Well, basically, essentially, with the whole debate, Carrier's whole tactic was the idea that he uses morality based upon history and evidence, essentially, to try and push forth that you don't need a god to develop your morality. And on the podcast, we kind of countered that argument by saying that, well, what makes your standards better, and why would why would we learn from history to basically improve our morality if you believe in the idea of equality, which means that all morals should be equal?
Interesting. Mental gymnastics for them to do then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think also problem was SJ, she apparently is apparently like a Christian feminist, kind of a bit like Christina Hoff Summers, where she kind of totes the line. I feel like, if you're gonna try to play that game, then you're gonna play into like the cultural Marxists with their like ideas on morality.
Well, in fairness to Christina Hoff Sommers, she one time said that she calls herself a feminist just to piss off feminists.
Yeah, I think SJ, she's a little bit more of a feminist than Christina Summers. She's not like radical, but I still feel like, yeah, when you play that game, you're just going to basically end up going in loops with like the radical left.
You know what? I'm going to go back to this. I think character has a lot more to do with it. Like I was an atheist in the foxhole, and I never prayed to God. Okay, like because I was an atheist, I'm not going to pray to something I don't believe in. Yeah, I've changed that opinion. But even back then, the thing is, I recognized that, as Hey Thrun would be wont to say, you are your deeds. You are what you do. And if you go back on your word, if you act like a coward, if you act like a venial little rat sneak, that's what you are. And okay, there's no God to watch you, but you have to live with that for the rest of your frickin' life. And I think there's a lot of people of supposed faith out there that would sell out at the drop of a hat. And they've never challenged themselves. Okay, like listen, you don't become a hero overnight. Okay, you don't become a tough guy overnight. You don't become courageous overnight. It takes practice. You have to submit yourself into the crucible to come out stronger again and again and again, and it never ever stops. And so this is what I'm saying, a Nietzschean that really wanted to be, he's like, listen, I respect religious people, I just don't have faith. But he knew what he was and he knew what he wanted to become. That guy I think you could trust. Whereas the atheist that starts praying in the foxhole, it's like, you fucking hypocrite.
There was something I want to say and then I forgot.
Well, with this debate, this was Richard Carey we're talking about. And, he's the guy who invented Atheism Plus. Who invented
Atheism Plus? Oh, what an enormous faggot.
Yeah, he's
a very smart, strong arguer. Like, he used to be a good arguer for atheism. I read a lot of his stuff.
He was the guy that like posted those rants about you're either with us or against us. Like, are you with Atheism Plus or Atheism Less?
What a weenie. I thought it was some 22-year-old woman that invented it.
Yeah. So basically what happened is he apparently was married and he kept committing adultery. And after he was caught, he then came out as poly, basically.
Oh, gross. I'm like, Jesus Christ, can't you just have kinky threesomes when you visit Vegas and shut the fuck up about it?
Yeah, so now he's so now he's a hedonist, basically.
Like, all right. And by the way, we got VA in here. How's it going, brother?
Hey, how's it going, Davis?
Good. Not too bad. Glad to hear you. Listen, I just want to say like one thing. There's that scene in Vikings where the who is it? Floki and his woman, like the priest is like joined the tribe, and they're like, "Hey, you want to join us, dude? You need some help your first time. You want to join us?" That did not bother me at all. That was kind of cute. All right, that's like back in high school when we used to play strip poker because there's nothing else to do in a small town. But now you got these people that call themselves poly this and we have a triune relationship. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
polyromantic.
Like, yeah, Chris, I find my own sex life disgusting. I really don't want to hear about yours.
Yeah, but so the worst part of the debate came near the end, where Richard tried to basically present the idea that Jesus was a fictional character by the fact that in the Bible they don't really seem to mention that he ran into a lot of slaves in his story.
First of all, oh my God, slavery! God damn these Americans and their obsession with slavery. It's biblical slavery was not the same thing as Southern slavery, which wasn't the same thing as what people think Southern slavery was today.
Roman slavery was not the same. Southern slavery.
Well, on the Red Pill Religion podcast, we basically came to the conclusion that if it wasn't really relevant to the story as much, they weren't going to add in an extra detail if there wasn't going to go anywhere.
He's sounds like a really autistic atheist at this point.
Again, I think just a thought about atheism. I think that you know, a lot of people who are like born into a religion, like, well, kind of like what happened to you, Davis. You know, you were raised, you know, nominally Christian of some sort, and then, you know, it wasn't like really a choice. And then we live in this society that we do, so you kind of go into. I think being an atheist for a brief period of time, at least in this modern context we have, is almost a natural progression of trying to, you know, as you go on your journey, because
it's damn near necessary. Like if you're at all, virtue is the mean between two extremes. Blindly believing in whatever particular cult you were raised in, you know, versus, you know, there's a good comment by Google Ivanafair. He commented that sheeple need labels with which to identify. And I think he's really nailing something with that. That's what really ticks me off about losers like Richard Carrier. So from what you're saying, Billy, he cheats on his wife because he has no self-discipline and he doesn't keep his promises. And then rather just admitting it's like, yeah, I do what I want. I don't fucking care. I'm a nihilist. No. He needs a label. I'm a polyamorous. I'm atheism plus. I'm this. I'm that. You know, I've got this video on planning about how a certain tribe's psychology, which led to the science of marketing and then lifestyle, it has induced neuroticism into our people, right?
You know what it is? It's a celebration of their damage. See, a responsible person would recognize that those are all fruits of a damaged self, and they would contend with it in a responsible way and repair that damage. No, these people want to celebrate it, and they want everyone else to celebrate it too.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed with a lot of atheists is that I think a lot of atheists have like parental issues, and I feel like rather than face the idea that they have issues, they essentially like want to blame everyone else for their problems. They kind of use religion as their punching bag when they're actually just, I think like deep down mentally ill, or just have some negative personality trait that they just won't come to grips with.
Actually, this is a perfect segue to Mark D sent a super chat asking, how do you go from atheist to Catholic? And well, this is how. Is that, like, listen, I'm not a rotten piece of shit like Richard Carrier. I was lucky enough just to be born with a strong sense of justice and understanding that it's important to keep your word, all of that stuff. So when I was an atheist, I wasn't going around being a little rat fink like he was. But I was living by my own morality, and in the process I wound up making some really, really stupid mistakes, and I kind of sat back and said, well, shit, I guess the Catholics were right about that. You know, maybe I'm not quite as smart as I think I am. Yeah, I'm smarter than most people, but I don't know that I'm smarter than God.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say probably not, but yeah. As smart as you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's, like none of us, like atheists want to put themselves up. Well, this kind of goes back to what we were saying about gods at the very beginning, hey, Thrun. That the atheists want to make themselves gods. Now, I think the Nietzschean wants to earn godhood through great and valorous acts, which is why Nietzsche is such a tragic figure. I really respect his philosophy. But your typical atheist nihilist just wants to declare themselves a god that can rewrite morality and do whatever the hell they want.
Well, most atheists are not really into Nietzsche just because they associate Nietzsche with Nazism.
No, it isn't like that. But didn't like Nietzsche propose a reevaluation of value? So I mean, they're all trying to be the Übermensch. In the end, isn't it the same thing? Like trying to be God. Like I've been told not to be the Messiah. I've tried not to be the Messiah, not to be the God, so to speak. I've been told that, and
it's satanic.
What Nietzsche was doing was a response to the nihilism and the failures of Christianity. And let's be quite frank, Christianity has largely failed for the past, it's been dying for 300, 400 years. And it doesn't mean I don't have faith in it, but it means I can recognize the church is broken and the Protestants are bloodthirsty. Right? None of that's good.
I disagree.
Because, well, wait, let me finish.
Go ahead.
You have your piece. what Nietzsche was trying to do, he's like, listen, atheism and nihilism is just suicide. And the church is too worried about being nice to actually be virtuous. And like, we need a synthesis of the two. And so, thus spake Zarathustra. When he says God is dead, he's lamenting the fact that we killed God. God is dead and we have killed him.
Right. That's exactly right.
I mean, Nietzsche saw what was going to come as a wake of the Enlightenment, or in the wake of the Enlightenment.
Talk about a prophet. I mean, his predictions pretty much have come through. I mean, it's.
Well,
I have no doubt that man is hanging out with C.S. Lewis in heaven right now.
Well, I think the biggest problem with Christianity is that you have so many of these Christians that have had it buried, like burned into their mind, that you always have to be nice, and you can't really, you can't really judge people anymore, and you can't basically go out and defend your beliefs anymore.
Nowhere does it say that in the Bible.
Yeah, nowhere.
Sorry, the Bible says when you judge righteously. And VA, you've been here for a while. You haven't really had a chance to say anything.
Oh, yeah, I've let you guys talk a little bit, but I was going to say, yeah, that's ridiculous, because Christ does mention judge not, let's not be judged, when he goes in the whole thing of like, hey, how can you, like, it's the whole hypocritical judgment that a lot of people do. You get these like pastors saying, oh, this and this, the sodomites, and then they're like, secretly a sodomite or something.
Well, what do you mean by judge? Like, there's a difference between judging and condemning. Like, you have to make a choice between one ideal versus another. You have to judge based on someone's aesthetic choices. Like, should you eat that fatty food or should you eat the healthy food? That's a judge.
Don't get me started on food there, because I can go into an irony. And here's something that's ironic about food. If it says fat-free, it's going to make you fat.
Exactly. I was going to say the fatty food is the healthy food.
I've never seen a skinny person. I've never seen a skinny person drinking a Diet Coke.
Unless you're trying to avoid sugar or something like that.
Well, yep.
I think Diet Coke is even worse for you.
Yeah, it is.
Let's give an example of this judging thing. Let's go back to that whole Granny conversation that I was having.
First off, who's banging something metal clicking? I don't know if I'm the
Sounds
only
like
one
a
hearing.
Knife. Is somebody like opening and closing a pocket knife?
Oh, that'd be me. I'm sorry. I'll put that down. I have a new mic and it's a little bit more sensitive, so I'll put it down.
Okay.
So, like take what they're doing in the Islamic world, where they're throwing the gays off of rooftops and whatnot. Okay, like that's what Christ is talking about there.
Oh
no! If you're throwing a gay off of a rooftop, it's because you got buggered by your uncle or something like that. Okay, like this is a bit of an overreaction to what these guys are doing. But now, if you're tossing a pedophile off a building, that's a different story. But like what did these guys do to you? They did nothing, right? And if you're going to judge others this harshly, well, you're going to get the same judgment in return. But then when I go and say, well, it's a genetic dead end, that is my judgment on it. I looked at the evidence and I called a judgment. Butt sex doesn't seem to make babies. That's my judgment, and it's a righteous judgment. I'm not saying let's throw them off the fucking rooftops. I don't think that's appropriate at all.
Of course. Well, this is the difference between condemning one's actions and judging them. Like, you judged them, you didn't condemn them. The Muslims, they're condemning them to death, aren't they? They're not judging them to death. Judging them to death is saying you're a racist, Aurini. You're a racist. You're an anti-Semite, and that's a judgment. Based on evidence, based on perception, and
I think that's what it means. Judgment is with the Lord. Like I've had these conversations with friends of mine that are homosexual or transsexual. Like I don't nag them about it, but I've said it's like, you know what? I'll be honest. I worry about you. This doesn't seem like a healthy path for these reasons. And
one of the problems is that we're kind of in a world where so many people take words so seriously, to the point where saying the wrong thing could get you like lose a job and be like ostracized permanently from society.
You said the word faggot. Oh, there goes your job and there goes your life. There goes your livelihood.
People also aren't wielding language responsibly. They don't even know what they're saying. They'll choose language that they don't even understand.
Well, if they know what they're saying, they're just not saying it very well. Then they could,
Yeah, it's like you have to explain.
Some people don't. They don't know what they're saying.
In some cases, you got people they just want to get rid of you because you don't uphold the pro-gay, don't judge me, don't take away my trap porn.
They actually have. And by the way, Billy, I'm just going to kick you because we're getting a bit crowded in here. Thanks a lot for joining, man. It was good to have you.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks too.
Take care.
All right, so they've actually got the judging and the condemning, and they've got that mixed up. So you aren't allowed to make judgments. You aren't allowed to ascertain anything. But we constantly, and you point this out, Dashing Rogue, words like anti-Semite, Holocaust denier, racist, sexist, transphobic, Islamophobic, these are not judgments. Okay? This is not me saying, you know what, I'm noticing this thing about you. No, these are condemnations.
Well, they're also, I wouldn't even say condemnations. I would say they're more ontological claims about a person.
Exactly. Like when you call somebody an anti-Semite, you're saying you're a non-person and should be destroyed.
Well, is judgment even the correct word? Or should we use something like observation?
The term anti-Semite is just abused now because of Holocaustianity. It's really
Well,
absurd.
Well, anti-Semite essentially, I mean, it's one thing if you say, you know, I'm allowed to criticize Jews, I'm allowed to criticize Israel's actions in the Middle East, which I think
on this channel, we love the Jews here. Israel is our greatest ally.
Yeah.
I would be honored to die for them.
Well, then stop judging them. You've made a judgment right then and there. That also is a judgment.
But anyway, do you see what I'm saying? It's like vengeance belongs to the Lord. Like where, you know, if somebody's living a sinful, disordered life, not my place, not your place, not our place to go put the boots to them.
And what is the Lord now that we have a lesson in Old English from last week?
Boy, bro, I don't want to raise my kid. My kid's a cunt.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'm becoming a very esoteric Catholic. There are some very interesting discussions on when the term Lord started being used by Christians. And
there's a Catholic conspiracy.
Well, it's because the word Lord nowhere appears in the original Hebrew text. It actually has its origin in Old English.
Yeah, from what I understand, if you want to see an example of how the Bible got manipulated, look up the King James only and the New Age Bible verses, such as I think it's the NIV. They omit a huge portion of the Protestant Bible, and they instead of saying God, they say the One. Go ahead.
Okay, let me retort your whole thing on the King James. What's the fundamental problem? Because I'd say I'm a King James Bible-believing type of person, a prot, you could say.
Oh, I am also.
What's your issue? Are you talking about like the New King James, or are you talking about the classic? Because the classic, I don't really see what you're talking about.
No. I think you misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm saying that the NIV and all these other new Bible
those
verses.
are satanic. I'm saying
exactly.
You guys, you all need to go back to the 16th century Reims Bible, the English translation of the Vulgate Latin. That's probably the best Bible that you're going to get a hold of.
I would rather you go back and get the original manuscripts, learn the language itself.
No, nobody has time. Nobody's got time for that.
There's a problem with that because there are not too many of them around anymore. So I'd say that the King James is the best you've got. Or if you're Catholic, go with the 1582 jumbo. I don't know.
The Reims.
That's what. Go to the Reims if you're Catholic.
It's like just give it a read and read the annotations. It's one of the most heavily annotated Bibles out there if you want the context of everything. Now listen, the Bible they've been politically manipulating that document from the very get-go. Okay, and so the older you get, probably the less manipulated it is.
Yes, and to a certain degree, no. It depends.
Just saying that
another 30 seconds, okay? Then no more talking about bloody church politics.
All right.
I was talking about etymology.
That was spurry.
Well, etymology. We'll look into etymology if you'd like.
Okay. Well, when you call out the name of the Lord, you're calling out Frey, because Lord comes from the Old English word laufhord, which means loaf warder, warder of bread, and it is a reference to Inga Frey, the god of the Ings.
Lord of bread.
Actually,
yeah, the bread. Yeah.
Perfect time to bring this up because InfoWarrior tweeted me earlier today saying, "I'm interested in Heithrune's thoughts on the Nordic pantheon because if she is in contact with Freya, what about the other Norse gods?"
Well, what does he want to know about them?
So, what does it mean that you dedicate yourself to Freya? What is your relationship with the other gods?
Oh, well, I mean, I have a relationship with the other gods and goddesses in the pantheon. It's just that Freya is my patron. She is the one who claimed me. And that's true for many heathens. We tend to have a patron god or goddess who sort of reaches out and claims us in some way or another.
Are you trying to say that my hand is special?
I'm not trying to say anything. That's your experience for you to interpret. I'm not getting between you and your experience, Aurini.
Dies Pater.
Well, no. The idea of a patron. This goes way back. Even in the Greek pantheon, this was extremely common. Individual cities had patrons, gods that were patrons.
Athens.
Like the Athenians. Different cities had different gods that were patrons within that was the Greek pantheon. So that's been a truism since they've recorded history. I mean, what's the oldest recorded?
Actually, first of all,
Same thing.
for the super chat. This is something that's in the Old Testament for those of you that bother to read it. That there's angels appointed to different regions and different peoples and different cities.
Well, something else I was going to mention is the guardian angel nowhere appears in the Bible either. That's something else that was taken from the Norse. One's guardian angel is one's Valkyrie.
Well, it also should be noted that Christianity and the pagans of the North, they were they were at it for each other. They were at each other's throats for such a long time, and the only way that I believe Christianity could explain the world to them and to get them to convert was to essentially tell them that their gods died. They're all dead, and I think that this is somewhat true. I mean, we don't see them strike anyone down or do anything like that.
Oh, bullshit! Bullshit! I'm gonna call bullshit on that.
Oh, geez.
Oh, let's talk about Charlemagne cutting down the Irminsul and slaughtering 4,000 Saxon chieftains, shall we?
What are you talking about? What does that have to do?
I still have more.
What does that? Hold on.
The point that Charlemagne did not use rhetoric or theological arguments for conversion.
No, he used the axe.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about?
I'm saying
About Charlemagne.
Okay, well, he was a Christian, was he not? Did he not represent Rome?
I don't follow what my argument is that the pagans were at each other's throats with Christianity, and because of their warrior-like nature, the only way you could explain to them that their pagan gods were dead is to explain to them that Ragnarok already happened, the apocalypse happened. And
well, actually,
Adam and Eve.
Listen, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a moment here. Book of Revelations already happened. It was about Nero. The number of the beast 666. Look up the number file on YouTube. He explains.
I've seen that.
Yeah, apocalypse already happened for us Christians too.
Well, the revelation happened. The apocalypse and the revelation, like again, the revelation of John. It's not the end of the world. It is just the revelation. Apocalypse means revelation. That's it.
The pagan peoples were converted only superficially, and they were done so at the point of a sword. Let's be fair.
I really honestly, I can't say for certain, but I could say probably yes.
Probably.
Oh,
okay.
Probably, definitely. What's
Okay.
the point?
Then why did the Christians have to adopt all of our holidays? Because the people wouldn't accept them otherwise.
Well, isn't that kind of like saying, the Catholic Church?
All right, now I'm going to play the other side of things. Hey, Thrun, weren't you the one pointing out that I believe it was Paul chastised the Galatians for acting like Jews? Or did
I don't know. You didn't hear that from me. I was making the reference. Well, if you want to bring up the Galatians, I was saying that Christ actually was an Aryan because he was from Galilee and therefore Gaul. Everywhere the Gauls settled begins with Gal. So the Galatians, the Galileans, all the peoples in that area.
Well, going back to etymology, couldn't you then argue because the vowels, when you're translating from multiple languages, the vowels are always a problem. You'll see this with Baal, Gaul, Bill. There's like I can recall one of these. What was it?
And they're just like the chat's pointing out that under Charlemagne, the bankers didn't pay taxes. That's an interesting fact.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder what group of people tends to be involved in banking. I don't know. Can't. It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
You know what? I read.
Sorry, no, that's because the church didn't allow. They didn't. They had certain restrictions on whole banking. So
Well, the Ashkenazi Aryans, but that's
and the
like,
Arabs too.
Oh, there's good reasons for that. There's check out Zippy Catholic. Google Zippy Catholic usury, and he has a short and easy guide that's about 20,000 words long explaining what usury is. But at the end of the day, usury is evil. Okay, it's black magic, and it really hurts people.
black magic.
Yeah, we're told it's acceptable with it was interest and loans are good for us. Charging loans with interest is okay. No, it's not. It's usury.
At interest, okay, because money is worth more today than it is tomorrow. But it's all about how you secure the loan and etc. Okay?
It's like saying nuclear power is evil because it can go off. It could be taken to the extreme and used as a nuclear weapon instead of powering plants. Usury.
Well, it's more than just that. Okay, like there are some forms of loans which are evil and forbidden.
I mean, like charging interest on a loan in that case. A loan's not necessarily a bad thing, but like charging interest and like to generate more, to double the profit than what you would have gotten off the loan is.
No. Interest is okay. In fact, interest is necessary. Again, money's worth more today than it is tomorrow. The issue is, however, when you engage in interest loans, when you engage in fractional reserve, you wind up manufacturing more debt than there is money to pay it off. So even if everyone tried to pay off their loans today, there wouldn't be enough money for it. And so this is why you need what do they call them? Jubilees, where debt is forgiven. You need bankruptcy law that's reasonable and fair. Because you are always going to, when you have loans at interest, you are going to have bankruptcies, and that period, okay? And that's not, it doesn't mean the people going bankrupt are bad people that wasted the money. It's inevitable that you will have this. And so, like, financial systems are extremely complex. They need to be, like, yes, we need money at interest. Okay, an economy where you can't loan money is an economy that goes fucking nowhere. All right, like that's like the equivalent of communism, where everybody works together. It's not going to fucking happen. We need loans, but usury is a particular type of loan which leads to enslavement and destruction of wealth.
And I think you see a lot of usury today because it's either you become some kind of debt slave in some capacity, or you become a shitty wage slave with a crappy job that you're underemployed.
Credit cards are almost 100% usury.
It also should be noted that you don't have to do these things. Like, I've become very successful, at least in my own measurement of success, given where I've been and where I'm going. And I have not used a single credit card. I have not used a single loan.
This kind of goes back to the merchants.
You have a credit score to get certain things now these days. That's how the system is.
Well, the merchant sells and the goyim buys. I mean, there's a certain usurious nature to our entire frickin' economy at this point that you can't avoid, but it doesn't mean that you need to get a credit card and buy a new pair of Crocs every week.
Oh, I don't. I only use a credit card to buy gas and maybe eat out. Other than that, I don't. I use my own money for everything else.
Well, I use a credit card for everything but I always pay my credit card off in full.
I can't really afford that now just because I don't make a lot of money.
Right.
Well, I was off a drill this month, so I don't have much money going around. So I'm budgeting. So I don't.
But I'm thinking about, like, for anyone who owns a home.
What's up with the comment? Everybody keeps talking about Israel for some reason. I'm just talking about banking.
I don't know.
It's the juice.
Are you guys anti-Semitic? You know, that's a bad thing. You shouldn't. I would love to die.
Well, it is a bad thing. I mean, you can't tar everybody with the same brush.
Yeah. Steel, isn't there like a tribe in New York called Use guys?
Yeah. They tend to be in Brooklyn and Manhattan and
the Use guys, right?
Yeah, Use guys. Yeah.
Wait, is everyone in the chat talking about the Jews? Jeez. It's the Jews.
You know what? I'll tell you one thing I've been watching. I'm seeing little pockets of it here and there. Is alt Jew, right? Like there's
alt Jew.
Oh yeah. Like,
pray tell. What is this? What is this new devilry?
These guys. Okay, some of them are my personal friends. I've drank with these guys. There's a lot of Jews out there that are willing to call out what's happening you know, with the Soroses at the top.
So
Well,
well,
that's-
that's a Manischewitz with them, or what? Was it?
Well, I'm hoping there might be more of them.
Can I trust them?
Why are you guys thinking in terms of groups? Like seriously, like what the fuck?
Guys, yeah, guys, wash your balls, okay? Wash your balls and clean your rooms and make good friends with the Indian neighbor. They'll bring you over some. They'll bring you over a pate made out of their very own nasal hair and yeast.
That is true.
Oh.
That may very well be true. But
Hindus, no thanks. No, thank you.
that may very well be true. But at least it's not some sort of like. Again, you're talking about groups of people. Like you, at least with Soros and Rothschild, and even then, Rothschild is just the last name of a group of family that has existed over a certain amount of time. If I say George Soros, that's someone we could hold to account. That's someone we could throw in jail. Hillary Clinton, same thing. But with the Jews, with like, you know, the heathens or the pagans or the witches or all, there's no individual to go after to be held accountable. This is something that a lot of these evil Jews hide it under. They hide in the group. They hide back in.
I'm hopeful that your average day-to-day Jew is starting to notice that.
Well, they are. They are.
To do something about it, but it's not really my battle to fight.
Well, I think the reason sometimes you speak of the group is because, you know, you judge an individual based on the actions of the individual. You judge the group based on the actions of the group. It's impossible to judge a group and take every individual in there. And certain groups have certain, let's say, phenotypes. So they tend to behave a certain way, you know, in aggregate. So that's why we do that.
Or it could be a matter of linguistics. You know, instead of saying this leaf, that leaf, it's better to say leaves.
It's like I'm
That's what
tossing
we
a
said.
link.
We said use guys.
I'm tossing a link into the chat right there by Uns about the blood libel and how he actually looked into it and it wasn't a libel, and he is Jewish himself. So there's some good ones out there. I hope they get a little bit more traction. I hope that we get a little bit more traction.
I believe there's always been some decent Jews out there. Usually I do that kind of stuff just to shitpost, like it's not being serious or anything. I'm not against the Jews. It's just I think the whole thing of it's the Jews is just the scapegoat for a lot of like these like white nationalists or neo-Nazis to blame their own problems. I love there's a Nazi poster, it's their Untermensch. Then there's a picture of a neo-Nazi, and he looks just like the guy in the Nazi poster.
VA has the point. He gets it. They're a ghost. They're a boogeyman. That's all they are.
I have a video planned, and I'm going to sketch it out for you guys since you're good enough to listen to this live stream and occasionally toss super chats. Hint, hint. You know, let's go back to Jordan Peterson for a second. Who are his two favorite guys to go back to? Solzhenitsyn and Carl Jung. And now both Solzhenitsyn and Carl Jung, they didn't hate anybody, but their works were very much a reaction to a certain group. Now, they didn't start off, like, I think the problem that a lot of people get into, they find out what's going on, they start hating somebody else. Like, no, don't do that. If you hate somebody, you're
getting to a country.
You know, somebody commented to me the other day that they were talking about Trump, but they said, you know what, it's the what's that Native American skin changer thing? Come on,
you lost. I don't even know what you're.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this is, brother.
Oh, wait a minute. We should know this because I believe Joseph Campbell spoke about this.
The Skinwalker?
The Skinwalker, thank you. The Skinwalker gains strength when you hate it and insult it. This is why the Native Americans don't talk about it. It wants your fucking attention. And somebody was bringing up Trump. It's like, isn't it interesting that Trump profits off of people hating him? Well, you know who else profits off of people hating them? Which is why you should not hate your enemies. It gives them power. And neither Jung nor Solzhenitsyn hated anybody. They said, you know what? You're trying to induce neuroses into my people, and I'm not okay with that. I want my people to get healthy, first by doing the right thing that they ought to be doing, and second by recognizing that you're inducing neuroses in us.
Yeah, you got to build. You got to build from within and not give energy to those who would aggress against you.
Well, again, but you don't see what you're doing here. You're going after, instead of saying one person, whether it be Nathaniel Rothschild, George Soros, Hillary Clinton, you're going after the boogeyman. You're going
Who is?
They do the like neo-Nazis, white nationalists. I even see it within
the
traditionalists.
groups. Yeah, but instead
groups.
of saying yeah, you're seeing it in the terms of groups instead of holding individuals accountable, saying, white nationalists have a good point to certain things, but Richard Spencer's a fucking dick. You could hold Richard Spencer.
I got a point on the
Rogue. You keep saying you. Who are you referring to? Who are you saying is accusing an entire group?
Well, I'm talking about Aurini.
Okay.
So then say that then, because you're saying you. We're not sure who you were
Because
addressing.
there's about 6 of us right now.
I suppose you're right.
The whole thing with
I'm
groups.
not accusing. I'm saying that if you have bad leadership, you're going to get dragged down with them. Be careful. I want the best for you.
Yeah, we got bad leadership, I'll say, here in the U.S., and like I see a lot of like the traditionalists, like they make the United States a huge boogeyman, like it's this great satanic evil or something. Yeah, they have certain points about degeneracy and there's validity, but I've just gotten sick of a lot of the anti-American sentiment, and they sound much like the left. I'm just going, you're just parroting the Iranians, the Russians, and the leftists, and you sound exactly like you're just empowering a lot of the people you condemn.
Yeah.
So it's gotten retarded. Like this strong anti-Americanism he sees in the right developing, he goes like, it's like, I don't say I despise it utterly, because I go, you're not getting anywhere with it. You just sound like an idiot.
I have
like a dumbass. It's annoying. It's more of annoying than it is.
Add me on Skype, Mr. VA.
Ah.
Yeah, I have some things to show you about the Russian connection.
Anyway, here's the thing.
Russian connections.
Sometimes people do operate as groups. You need to be able to look at individuals. You also need to be able to look at demographics.
Yes. Precisely. That was my argument. Well, you can't always look at if you're talking about a collective group of people, you can't speak to every single one. It's impractical.
So saying the Jews, the Rothschilds, the Americans, whatever your boogeyman is, it's
well, there's valid generalization.
Well, there's nuance to this. Like for example, has anyone read the Culture of Critique, for example?
I started to.
Kevin MacDonald.
I started to, and I couldn't finish it.
It's not a fun read. It's written kind of like a doctoral dissertation. Okay. Yeah. So it's not a fun read. Well, I mean, I like it because but
you geek out on that kind of stuff.
But let me just say, he basically described the collective Jews as a collective. And by the way, it was a third book in a trilogy on Jews.
Who wrote this, by the way?
Kevin MacDonald.
Okay.
Who is and now he's retired, but he was a professor of evolutionary psychology at USC. And basically, he described, groups have survival strategies, right? Humans think, we all do. And then within that, he said, basically, the Jewish survival strategy was to be parasitic. So it survives off a host nation in a parasitic way to the detriment of the host. That's the way it's not a symbiotic relationship. It's parasitic. There's a difference. Now, he couldn't name every single Jew because, that's not possible. So he had to speak, in a more macro language.
I'd have to look into this book because you have to define what he means by a Jew. Are we talking about Judaism?
Dashing rogue. Stop being. What do you mean by the word the?
What is?
Oh.
What do you mean by the word is? That's the Bill Clinton when he was.
I know what you're talking about, but again,
clarify your articles now.
I'd have to look into what he's talking about.
All right, well, go look into it. It's a famous book, The Culture of Critique.
By the way, super chat from EC2189 Kaku sends you us $2. Says Richard Spencer is intellectual venereal disease. I think you could even argue that Richard Spencer hates the Jews so much he became what he hates. You got to be really careful because you become what you oppose.
Oh,
if you put something into your head, if you host it inside, you offer it rent-free space in your mind, it eventually becomes you.
Oh,
I've always thought Spencer was a psychopath, to be honest. or a narcissistic sociopath, something along those lines.
Well, he's very exploitative of people.
I've seen that you become what you hate, because I remember as a leftist, I was like kind of on the Antifa train, and then I became just what I didn't like. So I pretty much became a fascist, really unironically. Like,
You still there, or?
Yeah, he's still there.
I
Just
muted.
stop for a
I must have
Oh,
muted.
okay.
Photoshop. Something I was opening something else. I guess I got muted. But I pretty much.
Oh, VA, you keep getting muted for some reason.
Oh no! Someone's trying to shut me down.
It ain't me.
I'm joking.
Well, apparently YouTube's okay with me because I'm not echoing right now. I swear that only ever happens when I'm live streaming. It never happens any other time, just when I'm live streaming.
Oy vey.
Oy vey.
YouTube keeps banning people just for absurd reasons.
Well, and I'm a
Yeah,
little
they're
bit
kind of behaving like a 13-year-old girl, aren't they? You might think you might think that they're possessed by the same spirit.
That happened again.
Well, that kind of goes back to the start here. Just it's so, I don't know. Worrisome isn't the right word because I'm not that worried about it. It's not part of my sphere. But people are very, very much regressing into such childish behaviors. I mean, you've got adults are buying coloring books now.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. They're regressing to an embryonic state.
Or like the adult baby fetish. That's like serious regression.
Well, it's because they're not allowed to, own their own. They're not allowed to own their own actions, and oftentimes it's better just to suckle the tit of government or some institution. It's safer that way for them.
There's something about that in that article I just posted about the whole Tinder phenomenon, about how people are turning the standards that should be optional into mandatory, and the things that should be mandatory into optional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't say that they haven't been allowed that. I would say that they haven't been challenged to grow into that.
Dating's become Tinder IRL.
Yeah, I mean, if people aren't challenged to grow up, they're going to remain in an infantile state indefinitely.
Yeah, so don't you think a lot of the modern social ills are just a manifestation of life just being too goddamn easy?
Yeah, I mean, they're in a state of arrested
factors.
Let me go back to MatPat for a moment here, where MatPat, he refuses to make any judgment on anything. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. That game, Life is Tinder, or Life is Tumblr, whatever the hell it is. A great video analyzing it by E:R. Basically, you've got this girl with zero personality hanging out with this shitty little narcissist that thinks she should be in charge of everything because she's a feminist, and men shouldn't have guns. And yet she gets a gun. First, she shoots herself with it, and then she shoots an innocent man and his dog while trespassing.
Yep, I've seen that video. He's a good guy. You should subscribe to him. Very funny shit.
Yeah, so this video game is everything wrong with these entitled little empowered narcissist sluts today. And yet MatPat, who's married apparently.
Yes, he is married. He's married. That's why I say he's successful. A lot of the stuff. Well, anyway, go ahead.
He's got no valuation whatsoever. He never once says this is right and that is wrong. This person's a hero and this person's a villain. This is righteous and this is unholy. Nothing. There is no judgment. He is just open to analyzing anything with his soulless, dead fuck eyes.
That we see, by the way. It should be noted that his stage persona is different from who he actually is all about.
Listen, if he is... I would have more respect for him if I found out that he literally worshipped Satan and loved just fucking people in the ears with his prehensile penis and stabbing at things until it's all jello in there and he lives his black, foul-smelling seed inside their brains. I would have more respect for that MatPat than the soulless, judgmental-less fuck that he presents himself as.
He presents himself? Well, to be honest, dude, a lot of this has to do with capitalism. And yeah, I'm going to criticize capitalism for just a second.
I do that plenty, so you're going up my alley now with this. So.
Okay, so I'll explain. All right. So, have has anyone ever asked themselves why these fat models, these fat overweight models, are even a thing? Because there's a market for it.
Women.
Yes, it appeals to it, and they are serving a market. It's not a value judge.
Yeah, dude, we get it. Everything's for sale, and people are fucking idiots, and they're being sold the lowest common denominator. Everybody wants a McDonald's cheeseburger.
Yeah, and you know.
And MatPat is a piece of shit that's going to burn in hell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
That's
I'm not going to disagree with you on that.
I don't care if he's successful in the economic marketplace. Like, listen, Sargon of Akkad is way more fucking popular than I am because he tells you that feminists are stupid every fucking week. Good for him. Okay, you go have all the riches of the earth. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, neither am I at this point.
I'm interested in developing masculinity. I'm interested in preserving what we can of Western civilization.
And, you know, to be honest, you know, you might not see it within your lifetime, but it may come to fruition.
I don't think we can save Western civilization. I think we have to build something new.
We're building an ark. We are building
Rivendell. Build an ark. That's what we can. That's what you can do.
Well, to be honest, you don't know.
Well, I mean, my now we're getting like very esoteric, but I do believe in a cyclical nature of civilizations, and I believe that, you know, quote unquote, saving it. I think there's a little bit of arrogance in that, like saying, well, you know, we're going to save Western civilization. I think that, you know, what we understand as the Occident now, the values of the West, those, I mean, we're in a time of tremendous upheaval and conflict. I mean, basically, you know, Ragnarok is approaching here, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But I already decided what side I'm on.
Oh yeah, we're in the Kali Yuga, and there's nothing we can do to stop. You can't stop winter from coming.
No.
What we're doing,
Prepare for it though.
we can prepare for it. There is going to be a lot of casualties.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would honestly, I don't even think it's limited to civilization so much as it's limited to just people. People naturally are gonna, you know, there's gonna be winter. There's gonna be some, you know, sunny days, some, you know, rainy days. It just so happens that a lot of people are gonna have a harsh fucking reality check in the near future.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Trump will be assassinated. Who knows? Maybe.
Oh, that's going to cause upheaval.
Kaku says, the flood has arrived and we have no ark. I know, brother. It is already way too late.
Just lay down.
Listen, Rogue VA, I'm going to kick you guys off. All right?
Yeah.
We're going to have you on next.
VA, we have to talk. I'll send you some. I'll send you my.
All right, I'll hook you guys up.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for being on, guys.
No problem.
See ya.
But yeah, let's see. Kaku, the flood has arrived and we have no ark. Yeah. You know, this is one thing Thrun and I were talking about, is that she and I, like this whole Gen X, you know, same thing with you, Steel, I'm sure, is that we wasted, listen, any injury you can recover from if you really want to. Okay, there's a great yoga video that was going viral. This ex-military guy that got fat and was walking with crutches. Doctor said he'd never walk again. Well, he started doing yoga, and now he can run. All right, and it's a heroic fucking video. If you want to recover from your injury, you can recover. But it's going to cost you a lot of time. And I spent 15 years rediscovering my patrimony. You know, that which should have been given to me. I had to teach myself, I had to bootstrap myself into how to be a man, how to be courageous, how to be heroic, how to shed the scales of this, you know, of what was not bequeathed to me, and earn it myself. And I've earned it, but it took me 15 fucking years. I know, Thrun, you've been through the same damn thing.
Oh yeah, I still haven't completely, shall we say, reconstituted everything that was damaged, but I've made a lot of headway.
Well, I don't think anyone ever does. I think it's a constant process. That's what life is.
Yeah, but I think what Aurini.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think what Aurini's saying, and if so, I agree with him. that particularly we Generation Xers, I mean, the millennials too, but we were kind of the first lot that really got hit. There was a lot that was denied to us, like basic things that a child should have growing up, like a father. And a lot that...
With fathers, we didn't have fathers. Nobody had a father in this generation. And it's not that our fathers, like, damn it, they were dealing with their own issues. Our mothers were dealing with their own issues, okay? This isn't about assigning blame. This is just observing the fact that none of us had fathers.
Yeah, they just weren't capable of parenting. They weren't able to be available because they weren't developed enough themselves to do that. But the bottom line for us is that we grew up without a culture. We grew up without a family. And I know one of the things that I experienced just looking at my peers, the ones who did have a mom and a dad who were married, they just seemed to be so much better off. And, when you're dealing with all of that, you see no way to compete with it. You're kind of like the wild child out in the woods, and there they are getting all the benefits of sitting at Christmas dinner. You spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to make it before you can get to a point where you're actually of any use to yourself or anybody else.
Those kids are learning how to tie their shoelaces. You're inventing string.
Right. Yeah, that's a good analogy too. Yeah, because you're outside. You're outside of civilization. You're out with the wolves in the woods, trying to figure out how you survive out there.
And by the way, a couple of super chats. CRM Sanders says, Kali Yuga. Is this why so many people are having spontaneous, out of the blue Kundalini spiritual awakenings? And Kaku comments that it's not too late for Space Dog to get a hubby. No. He is a confirmed old maid. There was a horny little Taco Bell dog that really liked her, except when he tried to mount her behind. She was not a fan of that.
Are you saying she's a feminist?
No, she's just she's happy being single.
Okay, she's daddy.
She's accepted her spinsterhood, kind of.
No,
exactly.
She's daddy's girl. That's what I think.
Oh yeah, she is. But CRM Sanders' question there about spontaneous, out of the blue Kundalini spiritual awakenings. Any thoughts on that, Haythrun?
I'm sorry. Say that again, please.
Kundalini, out of the blue spiritual awakenings.
Oh, absolutely. There's awakenings happening all over the place. In fact, the woman whose stream I appeared on recently, we were talking about this, how, well, at least within the heathen community, that we're experiencing what we call an awakening of the folk soul, and that people within the community are connecting with each other in unusual ways. And we're coming to this awareness of our ethnos, of the folk soul within the European people. And it's a very exciting time, It's a challenging time, but it's an exciting time.
I tend to take a little bit more of a cynical view, especially because he used the term Kundalini.
Mm-hmm.
For various reasons, Ganesh was recently brought to my attention. And, I'm not exactly... I mean, the Hindus are definitely strongly related to the Indo-European mythos. Okay, they came from it, though they're quite distant from us. But anyway, Ganesh, god of new beginnings, success, wisdom, and remover of obstacles. And I'll tell you what, that Ganesh is definitely not my god.
Is that the one with the head of an elephant?
It is, and a giant flower skirt.
Wow.
See, god of new beginnings, I'm not interested in new beginnings. I'm rebuilding from the past. Successes, I'm not interested in successes. I want to destroy my enemies. I want to defeat them.
Just see them driven before you and hear the lamentations of their women.
Exactly.
This is good, Conan.
Wisdom. Okay, well, every god's the god of wisdom. Okay, that doesn't count.
My favorite quote from that movie is, "Do you want to live forever?"
Come on, you apes. Do you want to live forever?
So says the Valkyrie.
The final one, remover of obstacles. There's this old bit by Mr. Conductor, where he was talking about like the fake masculine brouhaha of the Marine Corps. Lead, follower, get out of the way. He's like, when I hear that, I obstruct. And I am a very obstructionist kind of guy. I don't think I got a lot of, I don't share a lot of the same ideas as Ganesh, I gotta say. And so when you mention Kundalini, I'm wondering if this is, yeah, because like one of the big problems the boomers have is they all worship Ganesh. They all worship the cult of positive thinking. And
the feel-good pill.
I am so fucking sick of positive thinking.
See, there's the red pill and the blue pill and the black pill and the white pill, and then there's the feel-good pill.
It's the pink suppository pill.
It is.
I'm so damn sick of positive thinking. Okay, it's like, no. I've had nothing but bullshit. Like, again, you know, to quote John Steele, if I want smoke blown up my ass, I'd go home with my cigar and a short length of tubing. I've had more than enough of that. I want some cynicism. I want some hard, brutal reality. I want a few motherfuckers getting blood-eagled and broken on the wheel. That's what I would like.
Can I watch?
Oh, of course. Only if you bring mead.
Of course.
Do not shun the mead.
That's right.
Just like CRM Sanders, he's left a couple more comments here, so I might have misinterpreted that because I don't.
Okay.
All right, so he comments. I'm actually just let me just scroll.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. I mean, I've practiced Kundalini yoga. I understand what he's talking about, and to some degree, this is in Norse shamanism as well. You know, for example, the 24 runes of the Futhark have a relationship with the 22 vertebrae in the spine, and working with the runes can be the same type of experience as working with the Kundalini energy and raising it up the spine.
Oh, okay. He says, I had a Kundalini awakening and haven't even heard of it. It's blowing my mind, turning my whole life inside out.
Yeah, be careful with that. Be very careful with that.
He says, the obstacle is the way. And Kundalini is terrifying, not pleasant at all.
He's right. And I'm cautioning him to be careful with working with that energy, especially if he's doing so without a trained mentor.
You know, I'll tell you one thing I've found. Any genuine spiritual energy is terrifying. It's the friendly stuff that scares the crap out of me, because that's demons. Demons are usually quite friendly and nice. So, yeah, obviously you're talking about something. You're not talking about Ganesh, and I'm not saying Ganesh is a demon. I'm just saying his energies are not needed right now. He can go back to his peanuts.
People are under the Judalini. That was Amused Outsider posted that.
Use the leanie. Use the leanie.
You know, bad things happen when you hand over your entertainment industry, your news industry, and your banking industry to a people who at least consider themselves to be a foreign people. And by the way, $2 super chat from Kaku, purple pill, when you want to get fucked up by blue and red.
Come on, guys, show some more love for Aurini here. More super chats. He's been good to you.
Judalini with my mighty peenie.
Oh, God.
There's some pearls in the chat tonight.
This is we've got a lot of material out of tonight's discussion that Steele's going to use on his next stream, which I will be appearing on this Wednesday.
Oh, yes. Where is that? Do you have a YouTube channel, Mr. Steele?
Yes, John Steele Show.
You have a katana with a gray background for the avatar, correct?
Correct. Yeah, well, it's the same one you guys can see here. Yeah.
You want to tell them what we're going to be talking about this week?
Well, we're gonna go where. Well, it's basically it's on paganism, but we're gonna go where it takes us. I keep my my show pretty organic. I don't like to overly structure it.
We're gonna raise the Judalini energy.
Yeah, a lot of that Judalini stuff is gonna be going on. That's a new word now. The Judalini. Have you? It'll replace Namaste. Remember that? Everybody Namaste.
Yes.
Judalini, be hashtag Namaste, hashtag Jubilini.
Thank you for the super chat, Strontium19.
Oh.
By the way, hey, Thrun sent me the most interesting Wikipedia article about maybe an ancestor of mine. Do you tell the folks about that?
Well, that was a reference in Tacitus's Germania of well, there were actually two vulvar. Well, the most popular vulva that he writes about is, of course, Veleda, but there's another vulva that he mentions named Aurinia, which I found very interesting. And I said to Aurini, well, you may be a distant descendant of her.
I'll tell you, the Aurini name disappears into the mists after 5 generations.
So wouldn't that be interesting if you were the descendant of a vulva, of someone like myself?
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm very much becoming an esoteric Catholic. I am just as Catholic as I ever was, but there's a lot of interesting connections. Certainly, if you look into the Book of Enoch, it was excluded from the Bible, even though it was quoted in the Bible, because we couldn't confirm the historical authenticity of the document we had at the time. So, actually, this kind of goes back to one of the things that drives me up the walls is my Bible. Those people, my Bible. Well, you know, like which one? Okay, which historical source? You like you realize the Bible is like 30% poetry, 30% history, and 30%, you know, just general life advice. It's kind of a really weird book. And so you say, my Bible, well, which one? What do you mean by that? You realize that it's a history book. You know, it's a journal. It's a lot of things. It's not the Talmud, which tells you exactly how you should exploit the Goy. I mean, how you should, you know, how you should please God.
The Talmud's all about raising the Giudolini.
That's gonna be the title. That's, you know, I'm gonna use that as the title of our show. Hey, Drew, I'm just gonna,
Giudolini yoga with John Steele.
Raising the Jubilini. Yeah.
Okay, the Torah is just the Old Testament, more or less. Okay.
Now, if you make it a Jubilini, well, then that's like a Catholic thing. So.
Wait, whatever. No, yeah, okay. Oh my God, that's so funny.
I swear to God, something like Protestants and Catholics hating each other is like heathens hating each other over which English translation of the Nordic myths they follow. All right, Kaku sends $2. Says Giudolini yoga for Gentile men. Hashtag Shekelaste.
That's great, man.
Wow.
You guys are on fire tonight.
This is great.
God damn it! Like, what? You gotta do it when I'm smoking too. My throat hurts now.
God, I hope you don't get shut down for this. But if you do,
it was worth it.
It'll be a blaze of glory.
Giudolini. Giudolini is a forbidden word on the YouTubes there, okay? You
We got to get this shit trending on Twitter, guys. Go at it.
Hashtag Giudolini.
Hashtag. How do I say this? Shekelaste.
Shekelaste.
No, do you guys remember that Namaste bullshit everyone was going around with? You know, hashtag Namaste. I was like, shut the fuck up.
God, I despise Hollywood so much.
Oh my.
And yeah, you know, I was well. Oh God. No, but I was talking to someone about movies and stuff, and I was, you know, talking about how I don't really watch movies very often, and it was basically because it's not because I love film. You know, Davis, you know, we talked about movies and several times, but there's nothing good on that. I'm one of rare people apparently on the planet that doesn't like superhero movies. Like I've never seen any of the Avengers or anything like that, with the exception of like the first 2 Nolan Batman movies. I enjoyed those.
I think that's because you've actually been in a fist fight.
Yeah, maybe. A few of them, but the thing is that it's not that I don't like the medium. It's just that there's so much crap out there that I I just can't watch it.
Oh, I don't go to movie theaters anymore. I just, it's, about the mid-aughts, it became like 70% of the movies I went to see were disappointments. And I'm like, you know what? This is a bad gamble at this point. I'm not going to go see any more movies.
CRM Sanders says instead of chakras, chakras.
Chakras, yeah. Oh man, we can go on this.
Thoughts on sleep paralysis. It does feel like demonic attack. I only had sleep paralysis once as a kid. Okay, and it was, I don't know, it was weird. It's like my whole blanket was a war between chaos and order, and it was very bizarre, very hard to explain. I don't know that it was a demonic attack though. I think I might have just been getting into trippy DMT space. My brain released too much DMT all at once, and I was just a little bit loopy. You have any thoughts on it, Haythroom?
No, that's not really my area. Sleep paralysis.
I think
there's a medical condition that causes it, but
yeah,
that's all I know about it.
And I'm not really into the whole demon thing. That's not part of our cosmology. I will defer to Aurini on that.
It can be. There's a really good stream that actually Haythroom you linked me to.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was given by a Catholic, so.
Well, it was a Catholic and being interviewed by a heathen.
Right.
So I'm gonna toss this if I can find it. There we go. I'm gonna toss this into the chat. There's some really good information in here. Everything this guy is saying matches up with everything that I've studied, everything I've read, everything I've experienced, which is the least of the three of those. There we go. That's in the chat right there. Really good live stream. Here's the thing. When it comes to anything supernatural, demonic possession, whatever, you need to start by looking for the scientific explanation. Okay? Like 90% of possession cases that are presented to priests are just psychological issues. And actually, interesting story. A lot of psychologists have become Catholics because they were atheists, but they were being consulted by a priest, and they would occasionally run into something. And it's like, this is not a psychological problem. This is something fucking else. So a few of them actually converted to Catholicism by seeing cases of possession. As I mentioned, like when I was a teenager, I had some sleep issues. Like one time I actually had like a waking nightmare where basically I kind of woke up and I was crouched by the front door with the baseball bat, and I was about to like go next door and ring my neighbor's doorbell to warn them that the monsters were coming or something like that. Right? And I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck am I doing? I've been having a nightmare the entire time. Okay, and that wasn't that was just like sleepwalking mixed with really vivid dreams. All right, it wasn't demonic, it wasn't anything else. It was just teenagers tend to sleepwalk. Teenagers tend to occasionally have sleep paralysis. These are just biological functions often, much of the time, but not all of the time. If you are getting hag-ridden, then you're going to have the same physical symptoms as sleep paralysis, but it can be more than that.
One time I'm going to have to, I don't know if I'm not going to tell it in the live stream because it might be a little TMI, but for a brief period of time in my 20s, I actually used to sleepwalk. I mean, like really sleepwalk. And one time was, I was at this girl's place. It was only the second time I'd ever been to her apartment. And I slept walk, and I woke up while I was sleepwalking, walking down a flight of stairs in her building. But the catcher is I didn't have any pants on.
Yeah, well, that's a sort of weird. It's like teenage.
But the scary thing was, guys, I didn't know. I wasn't sure how to get back to her apartment.
Yeah,
wow.
She was still half asleep.
No, it was because I'd only been when I woke up and I realized I had slept walk. I realized, okay, well, I'd never been in the stairwell before because I took the elevator to get to to her place. She lived in this really nice building. It was actually the same building that the quote unquote the TV show Frasier was where he supposedly lived. This is back in the '90s, my rock star '90s, and so I woke up and it was like around 5 in the morning, 5 or 6 in the morning, and it was summertime. It was right when the sun was coming up, and I was walking and then I was like, oh shit! I'm realized, I got no pants on, and I'm walking down, and I was like, I was terrified of someone seeing me, roaming this hallway, and or the stairwell, or all right, I got to prepare the story better and tell you, but it's kind of really funny in retrospect, but anyway.
Well, it's not the first time you were walking around downtown Seattle with no pants.
He was raising his Judalini.
Yeah, I was raising my Judalini. Well, actually, someone said something about Judalini with my peenie or something like that.
2189 Gaku says, "Shika high, pay my goy. Push the multi-armed Talmudic elephant. Judalini 6:66. I'm a punk. Ever read *Sapiens: The Brief History of Humankind*? I'm not sure if that's an actual book or not."
Well, you mentioned the Talmud. Isn't there a verse in the Talmud that says that Jesus Christ is in a giant vat of human excrement and boiling or something like that?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Yeah, the Talmud is it's a pretty I would say disgusting piece of work.
They got quite the hate boner for Christ.
Oh yeah. It says some other things in there that I won't say on the air.
Yeah, we might we might actually get kicked off of YouTube for reading the Talmud on air.
Yeah, well then we could say that YouTube is anti-Semitic, right?
Yeah, they've been kicking us in the Judalini. Yeah, just to finish off on that, listen, the difference between mystics and cranks is that anybody that's a mystic realizes that 95% of the time there's I don't want to say scientific explanation, right? There's a mechanistic explanation, right? Like, I don't know, you're sitting in your room when nothing's going on and suddenly a book falls over. Well, sometimes it takes something a really long time to fall over, man, and there was a stray breeze. It wasn't a demon pushing your book over to send you a sign that, oh, my ex-girlfriend bought me this. I should phone her up in the middle of the night for a booty call. 95% of the time, there's a physical explanation for everything. But if there's something that defies physical explanation, that's when you should maybe pay attention to it. But also, it's generally a bad idea to go looking for this stuff. All right, if you look for it, you'll find it, but you won't find anything good.
Yeah, actually, what's funny? That harkens back to a conversation you and I had a few years ago. You probably don't remember it. It was a private conversation, and I'm assuming it's fair to share this with you now because it's on this topic. And I kind of said that to you, that because you had this huge fascination with demonology, and I said, Davis, probably shouldn't be spending too much time on that.
Oh yeah. Again, I studied it. I want nothing to do with an exorcism.
Yeah. I've seen some spiritually disturbed people. I mean, not like possessed, at least I don't think they were, but I've seen some disturbed people. You don't want to get near that. Yeah,
I study it. And by the way, you were right to say that, okay? I do study it extensively, but it's not something that tempts me. Okay, that's not where my temptation lies.
What's that expression? You dance with the devil, you don't change the devil changes you.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't beat him and win the golden fiddle. You think you won the golden fiddle? He wanted you to have it, shithead.
Great song, by the way.
Charlie Daniels.
Yeah, that's right. Southern rock, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That was, it was interesting that Southern rock, one of the reasons it got very popular, like Charlie Daniels, Leonard Skinner, that kind of music, was actually because people were in the disco shit was going on. So but the disco really didn't catch on down south, you know. So that's why you had so many of those great bands, that kind of southern rock, you know.
I prefer "Greatest Song in the World" by Tenacious D.
I'm into the prog rock of the 70s.
Wait, am I the only one that's seen Tenacious D?
Yes.
Oh,
No, I saw it once a long time ago.
Steele, you need to look up "Greatest Song in the World" by Tenacious D. Basically, they're walking down an old highway when the devil appears and says, "Play me the best song in the world or I'll eat your souls." And so they play the greatest song in the world, but then the song they're singing is not the greatest song in the world, it's just a tribute. Couldn't remember the greatest song in the world. This is just a tribute.
Okay. I don't know. I like Johnny Cash.
Okay.
And I like some Celtic punk, Dropkick Murphys, Flogging Molly.
Let's
It's
I got a few
an
Tenacious.
interesting spectrum of musical tastes there.
Yeah, I mean, I really run the gamut on my musical tastes, and I even like quite a bit of classical music.
Yeah, a great song is "My Way" by Frank Sinatra.
Even better done by the Sex Pistols.
Oh yeah,
You Gen Xer.
Sid Vicious.
talk about a person with demons.
Yeah.
Deeply, deeply disturbed man.
Speaking of demons.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more. You know, we should finish up pretty soon.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about anything serious tonight. It's just a lot of silliness.
That's okay. That's okay.
It was a fun stream.
Yeah. I needed this though. I like the last couple of podcasts I've been on have been pretty serious.
Yeah, that's true. And hell, I don't know. We're getting a lot of good comments in this one.
Yeah, we are.
We should do
One-liners.
the humor more, you know. I mean,
Got like a whole list of one-liners.
We really raised the Judolini on this one.
that's entered our nomenclature now. Where you know.
That's right.
Oh, that's a word now. Somebody go into Urban Dictionary and enter that. I don't even know what the definition is. You gotta.
Yeah, we'll have to come. We'll have to do a show of that, like a 10-minute show on the Judolini.
Well, we'll do that for the 12 days of Hanukkah.
Yeah.
How to raise your chakra system.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that would be a great parody. We get, like all serious to your
well, you know how they talk about charging the chakras? Well, you do
Yeah.
charging your chakras to your credit card.
And do it with that real merchant voice talking about the goyim. Who can do a real good merchant voice? Can you do one, Davis?
No, I'm not really.
Sipping on some Manischewitz.
Charging your chakras.
Oy vey.
Shut her down, Goyim.
Oh man.
Well, first of all, if I'm going to be Pope, I'm revoking the vow of chastity, okay, folks? And I'm taking a heathen as a consultant, and I'm going to start endorsing polygamy.
What did Rollo? You were talking about polyamory. Or I don't know if it was you or
polygamy, I should say.
Polygamy. Rollo Tomasi was a funny thing about this polyamorous thing that's popping up, and basically it's two betas. It's two betas fighting over a girl that's gonna cock them with an alpha on the weekend.
Oh, it's so gross. You know what? We really need to figure out a way to institute like good old-fashioned medieval land wars to get rid of the excess population. I don't know, maybe just bring back dueling. God,
we did a real culling.
Yeah.
I would have so many notches on my belt if dueling were legal.
And it would, I don't know, it would just make the landscape more lovely to look at. Wouldn't be so cluttered.
Yeah, we need to thin out the herd here.
Oh, I had a lovely dream last night that I was yelling at Justin Trudeau.
And I think I asked you, did he cry?
He got really disconcerted. He's like, wait, why isn't people approving of me? Am I a bad dog? I'm a bad dog.
Yeah, dueling would be great. I'm also in favor of bringing back gladiatorial sports. As long as I can watch.
Well, I'd have more respect for that than the stupid NFL BS. Like,
Oh yeah, wait. Did someone? I just saw something in my tweet. Apparently, because the NFL did pass a rule that you don't have to stand for the national anthem, but you can't kneel. You can stay inside or whatever, but you can't kneel. And I believe a bunch of people. Today was the first. Wasn't today the first? I don't watch sports ball anymore, but wasn't today the first regular season game of the NFL? And apparently, a bunch of people, a bunch of them did take the knee.
Yeah, way to go! Like a year or 2 years too late, you pass a rule. At which point, you're just challenging people to break it. Like I would have taken a damn knee just to piss off the NFL.
Well, the reason the NFL, the reason they did this is because their viewership is just falling through the floor.
Yeah.
So,
Nike,
I wonder why.
Nike just signed Kaepernick, and there's been okay. So their new slogan is something like, "Who cares what it costs? Just do it. Just do the thing you need to do." And people have just been memeing the fuck out of that.
Oh yeah, that was great memes. Yeah, that was great meme. There's one with Jesus. And another one that was really good was, someone who actually did play football was a picture of Pat Tillman, who I don't know if you remember gave up like a multi-million-dollar contract to go fight the Taliban in Afghanistan after 9/11.
Yeah, that guy. I remember him.
I mean, talk about a guy that really, was a page, really sacrificed everything.
Where his mouth was, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, this guy was
goddamn soy drinking, steroid taking, likely gay for pay sex having football players.
I just love watching these big corporations shoot themselves in the foot. They really know how to destroy their brand.
Well, you know what it is they hire these advertising companies that are filled with, mouth-breathing soy boys.
Right.
Or what was the word that the other phrase we came up with?
Soy face.
Soy face, yes.
Hey, that would be a Marvel superheroes movie that I would go watch.
Yeah.
I want to see Soy Face. He'd be like the champion of the incels or something. Defender of the incels.
Oh, yeah, we got to do a parody on this. We take all these, dysfunctional fuck-ups that the modern world has created and just...
What would be Soy Face's sidekick?
I don't know. Big Red? I don't know.
I don't know. She might be like the main one, and then Soy Face would be the sidekick.
Maybe we could bring back Chota Boy from retirement.
Yeah. But I don't know. There's just so much dysfunction has been accepted as has just been normalized now. It's well, that's why I said that I really believe that we are, and I'm not trying to be.
By the way, speaking of dysfunction, so I saw this meme on Facebook. Somebody pointed out, that tranny that was reading books to little kids at the library?
Yes.
That tranny looks almost exactly like Slanesh, the god of chaos, sexuality, pain, and torture from Warhammer 40K. The same horns on the head, the same... I think the only difference between the tranny and Slanesh is Slanesh has a third tit underneath her left tit.
Okay, I never played the game, but...
Oh, you know what? Steel, I'm not saying you should play... I'm never going to play the damn game. But, Google Slanesh and find a really good video lecture about who Slanesh is and you will love 40K. 40K is a metaphor for where the Europeans find themselves right now. That are like the Chaos Gods are ruling, the orcs are taking everything over, and we have nothing but a dead emperor in a chair barely holding the civilization together by a belief that died over 10,000 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I might find that interesting. I mean, the only computer game I play is Hearts of Iron,
That sounds like a game you'd play.
and I always play as Germany.
And Candy Crush, right?
No, no, Candy Crush. Yeah, you're going back to my mouse clicking that time. But no, the Hearts of Iron 3.
It's not so much. It was actually a tabletop strategy game. You might actually have really enjoyed it. But I tell you, just look into the lore of Warhammer 40K. It's absolutely fascinating, and it really, it's like subconsciously. I don't think the developers realized this, but they were the whole game is a giant metaphor for where Europeans are right now. That the entire universe is corrupted by chaos and death gods, and the orcs are breeding like bloody mushrooms popping out of the ground, and we have superior technology and superior ethics and superior everything, but we're fucking losing.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much accurately sums up where we are.
Oh, cool. We got Leslie Soul in the chat. Very well-known writer who publishes at terrorhousemag.com. Check out terrorhousemag.com and look for Leslie Soul's work.
Yeah, there's some good stuff over there.
Hi, Leslie.
Amused outsider. White people have given up their guidance to some people, and their children are paying for it. You know, this is actually what really drives me up the frickin' wall about Protestants. Is like, guys, who do you think wrote the Protestant Bible? I mean, like, we've had certain people messing with the Catholic Bibles over the years. Who do you think wrote the Protestant Bible? Why do you think Israel is our #1 ally? You know, this
guys.
Bible. Have you never heard of this stuff?
It's use guys.
Yeah, use guys.
Use guys from Brooklyn.
Yeah, forget about it.
Use guys from Brooklyn.
Hey, forget about it. It's those damn wops. Watch this. I get hate speech for saying the word wop. You know, just because I have my papers and they're well in order doesn't mean all Italians do.
Yeah, that's what it stood for, right? Without papers.
Yeah.
Like, I hear guys saying, you know, whites need to take control of their own destiny. Well, then get on that, dude.
Yeah, do it.
Get on that.
Do it, faggot.
White women are waiting for white men to take some damn control.
Well, I'll tell you. Well, actually, you know what? Let me get some ice. You know, this is a topic we could discuss. How the fuck do you write a dating profile these days? Well, you don't.
You don't. I was going to say.
Yeah, that ship sailed, man.
If you're looking for a relationship, don't go to a dating site. It's the last place you're going to find one.
You know, one of the ongoing issues we have with this whole alternative media, whatever the hell we are, is let's be frank, most of the guys are beta. Most of the guys.
The thing is, that's always been true, though. I mean, that is the way the population is set up. That's the way nature has designed it. Like 80 to 90% of males are beta males.
Yeah, but the difference is that society didn't celebrate that.
No, it's not celebrated. And again, you know, humans are kind of unique in that they have created civilization with all of these laws that they've created, that they've layered on top of natural law. But of course, in the natural world, there's only natural law. So only the alphas would be getting access to the females in a natural society. So, you know, these are some challenges that we have to work with as human beings if we want to have a civilization.
You know, I was listening to this video earlier today, and I'm not going to say who it was, because I like most of their content. Okay, but it was a video talking about a couple of these trad tots out there. And the video was just very, yes, Cassie, everybody knows you're here. Do you have a big sneeze? Stop smoking my cigarette. All right, so yeah, Space Dog had her say. And, okay, so they were talking about a couple of trad tots. And, you know, they kind of had some points, but I'm listening to the whole thing, and I'm left, like, I can hear a woman's voice in my head saying, "You sound really unattractive right now." Because they were very unattractive. Like, the bitching about women. They were bitching about how women were wasting their early fertile years spending all their time with Chad. Okay, maybe you should become Chad? Now, first of all, that's not even the case. That's not exactly what's going on. It was also ignoring the female experience of this whole damn thing. Okay, like, women aren't going out there consciously saying, I want to spend my fertile years getting banged out as hard as I can, and then marry one of these schlubs that keeps taking me out for dinner. Like, that's not what women are doing. The thing is, everybody is responding to a system of incentives, which is very, very toxic. You know, I mentioned this in that post I just wrote, that I could write a dating app that would actually help you find a girlfriend, and nobody would use it. Your average guy would rather right swipe 20 women and fantasize about them than actually invest in a real woman.
There aren't a lot of real women, though. I mean, in fairness, a lot of the females are damaged and not taking responsibility for that damage and not getting themselves together.
Absolutely. But the guys aren't doing much better, are they?
That is true. Both sexes are suffering the same fate, and both of them are avoiding responsibility and immersing themselves in distraction.
And I think the solution, again, we're trying to build it. We are trying to build Rivendell. Okay, we're trying to get you guys to start holding yourself up to standards and being willing to sacrifice. Here's the thing. You know what? I could go find a dozen women that said they wanted to be a traditional waifu. Okay, now every single one of them, they want the lifestyle. They want the outfit. They want to pretend that they're traditional, but really they just want a nice McMansion.
Well, it's hard to find something that'll motivate people today because everybody's so independent, right? I mean, technically everybody's dependent, but you know what I'm saying. It's like the guy doesn't need the wife to cook and clean and do his laundry because he can do all that himself and have his full-time job, pardon me, and keep his lifestyle. And she's the same way, you know. She doesn't need him to make the money because she can make her own money and keep her house and everything, and she can party. So there's no incentive for anybody to sacrifice anything in order to have a partner. You know, people say they want a relationship, but if they evaluate what it is that that they provide to themselves, what is it that they're looking in somebody else to provide that they're not providing to themselves? Do they really want a relationship, or do they just want the appearance of a relationship?
And that's exactly it, is that people are so comfortable. Let me rewind a little bit. So I think everybody here is a fan of that, that British film critic. He did, what's his name, Steele? I recommended him to you, and you loved him.
A film critic?
Yeah, he does like really deep analyses of films.
Oh, I think I know the guy. Yeah, he's the guy that did the video on 2001.
And that's what I'm talking about. 2001. He did this analysis that just blew everybody's minds, and now film teachers are really angry because all the film students are quoting him. And the film teacher's like, no, he's wrong. He's not an academic. No, he's right. 2001 was not about frickin' Rob Ager. Thank you, Cowardly the Dog. Rob Ager. Great guy. Go check him out. Collative Learning is his business / website. 2001 is not about frickin' aliens. 2001 is about auto-reflection. So you start off with a bunch of monkeys just like sitting around scratching their balls. And then the 2001, the monolith shows up, and one of them says, holy shit, Jordan Peterson is right. We should wash our balls and not just scratch them. And those monkeys that washed their balls, they manage to kill the leopard and they become humans. Now, later on in the movie, you have humans exploring space. We find the monolith. Well, the monolith is a TV screen. It's a movie screen. And the point of the whole damn movie is that the first step of evolution was us being able to watch ourselves think. The second step of evolution was us creating an interactive mirror, whether that mirror be movies and television, or if it be your Facebook profile, or if it be the fantasy of sleeping with 200 women on Tinder that you just right swiped. And what I think we're going through right now is there is going to be a massive culling. Like the same way, when we first discovered alcohol, alcohol enabled us to have larger villages because alcohol was safe to drink while water was polluted. And yet alcohol is extremely addictive. So you see this with the Native Americans that never developed an immunity to it. They have terrible alcoholism. The same thing is happening with media. Those that can see through the screen will survive. Those that become captivated by it, just like narcissists staring into the pool, will become enslaved to it and they will die.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the real difficulty, is that this technology is so damn powerful. And it's happening at the same time as a whole bunch of other technologies, right? Like we have the opiate craze going on.
Oh yeah, that's really, really awful.
We have designer drugs all over the damn place. We have internet pornography, which, I mean, like, it's bad enough, the Facebook narcissism. You toss sex into the mix, okay, things are even worse now.
Well, that's what I mean. Everybody's become so independent in the sense of being able to provide for his or her economic needs, respectively, that they have no need, therefore, to invest with another person and thereby have a relationship and have a family and fill up their life with the things that would traditionally give them a sense of purpose. So they're empty inside and they're either seeking purpose or suffering from a lack of purpose, and they're trying to fill up this emptiness with all of these drugs, whether it's a physical drug, a chemical drug, or a drug in the form of media consumption, or a fantasy, or something like that.
Why be a hero in real life when I have a level 99 barbarian in World of Warcraft and an endless stream of Marvel movies on my Netflix?
Well, I'll tell you why, because there's no reward from that. That's an empty victory because nothing's being risked. You get out of something what you put into it. And so if a guy is just dissipating his energy playing video games and watching pornography, he's not risking anything, therefore he's not gaining anything.
If you want a relationship, you need to be a heroic man. Not a guy with a level 99 avatar and a BMW. You need to actually be a heroic man. But at the same time, recognize that your average woman out there would rather have some likes on Instagram for going to Coachella and a dog instead of a child. And they're satisfied with that.
I mean, the women are doing no better. I mean, I don't want to make this a big beat up on the guys fest.
Oh yeah, this is both sexes, guys. Like this is, they have their own versions of it, but both sexes are living virtually.
I mean, I've talked to plenty of females who sort of parrot the same thing, which is, well, there aren't any good men out there. There's nobody worth having a relationship with. And one of the things I ask them is, well, what are you willing to give up to have a relationship? Because really, it's like, if you want a man who's a manly man who's going to satisfy your need for masculinity, you're going to have to sacrifice some things in order to give him a role. Like, if there's no role in your life for a man, well, what's he going to do? It's almost like they just want a guy to fill out the family portrait and sort of show off at parties. But they don't want him to actually have a role in their life. It's like, well, no, I'm not going to give up my career. I'm not going to give up all this power I have. I'm not going to give up any kind of control. He's just supposed to sit there and look good and make me happy and not actually have any sovereignty or any authority over anything. He's just a prop. He's just window dressing. It's like, well, yeah, you're not going to find a man like that. That doesn't exist.
Well, and another thing is like, for a lot of men, at least men when we reach a certain age, if we didn't marry, it's like, I mean, I got to be honest. I have absolutely no desire for a long-term relationship with a woman.
Yeah, well, what's in it for you?
Exactly.
You know?
There's nothing in it for me. I
You
mean,
know,
I like to. I mean, for me,
but-
women are. I mean, not all, but I mean, I like to have sex with them, but I don't want to put up with their bullshit or anything like that. I can just sleep with them, and then, you know, what else? I mean, I have no interest in at this age I'm at now. I'm not having a family, and I don't, you know, I don't feel that's what I was called to do. But
Yeah, well, some of
have-
us aren't called to do that, and that's perfectly fine. The majority of people are. I mean, you know, I think the majority of people are not dealing with their biological imperatives. They're distracting themselves from dealing with it.
You know, there's a meme, an image I saw a few months back about my aborted girlfriend, referring to the fact that half our generation was aborted. And it's like this little ghost girl saying, "I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you, Anon. Please, why are you staying up so late? You need to eat better. I wish I could be there. I'm waiting for you." It was so damn heartbreaking. But the thing is that Gen X, even our living women, were stolen from us. And the men were stolen from you women, because we were all shunted down. We were given no wisdom. We were given nothing but foolishness and MTV and Ritalin and you name it. We were all shoved down the wrong path, and they stole 15 fucking years from us.
Oh, minimum in some cases. I think in the case of some of the older Gen Xers, it was more than that. Because, you know, the data wasn't out, and we were all immersed in the feminist lie, and many of us didn't start to get woke until much later than that.
And again, like I want to, that song "My Way," regrets I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
Mm-hmm.
The choices I've made, I wouldn't make those choices this day, but I do not regret those choices. I was making the best damn choices I could. Although in my present day, right now, I'm just beginning a career that I should have started 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I was doing the best I fucking could, and I was learning from every misstep. And, you know, same with you, same with a lot of us. I mean, there's a lot of Gen X's that are just garbage. Let's not
Sure.
otherwise, but...
Yeah. I mean, we're all damaged, but as you and I have discussed before, Aurini, there's a difference between acknowledging the damage for what it is, taking responsibility for it, and taking steps towards repair, versus celebrating it, embracing it, celebrating it, and then expecting the rest of the world to celebrate it too.
Oh, by the way, yeah, you call it self-knowledge, I call it repentance.
Mm-hmm.
Repentance
well, I got a question about a distinction I'd like cleared up about Gen Xers and millennials, as far as, you know, who had it worse or whatever. From what I remember when Facebook first came out, and you know, I grew up back east, and now I live on the West Coast, and I reconnected with a lot of people I had completely lost touch with that I went to high school with, and I went to a very good high school. It was a Catholic high school. You know, it was a prep school to get it accepted. You had to take a test to get into it, you know. And there was a huge amount of people that went to this school that came from, you know, very functional household, a mother and a father and stuff like that. And the overwhelming majority of them did very well, that I can tell. So I think that, you know, divorce, although it was quite common back then, it's nothing like it was for the millennial group, where they were all completely, you know, even more fucked than we were. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel.
Actually, that's not true on the divorce statistics. The Generation Xers have had the highest rate of divorced parents of any of the recent generations. I believe it's 50 or 51% of all marriages ended in divorce for our parents versus the millennials.
We were the underprotected generation, that we were the latchkey kids that had to learn to survive on our own. And I'll tell you, it's the most, I don't really like to talk about my family too much, but it's the most dramatic difference between me and my siblings, that I was the Gen X and I was the Gen X latchkey kid, and they were, you know, going to the nice school in the nice area. It's a very dramatic shift. millennials are like they tend to receive like the good amount of parental protection, and they're the teamwork generation. Now the problem is that the teamwork, like the millennials follow the Gen Xers, and for every single one of us, there are a dozen Gen Xers that are the feminists and the radicals and the Jim Goads and the you name it. Right, and these people have been leading the millennials completely astray. So about 80% of millennials are SJWs because that's what their Gen X leaders were, and it's the 20% that's following people like us.
Well, yeah, but isn't the sorry to interrupt, Hadrian, but I just want some clarification. And plus you're a woman, I can keep interrupting you. I'm a man, but it seems to me, and you know, I'm seeing this as anecdotal, right? Because it's just my own little world of people I know. But it seems to me like a lot of the people that I grew up with, you know, for the most part were, I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of fuck ups, but I mean, a lot of very functional people that I see. I mean, a lot of people I went to high school with. I mean, these people went on and had successful families. Yes, a lot of the women, you know, in my school, and these were high IQ women, so they got advanced degrees. They became, you know, they got master's degrees.
Well, you nailed it right there. There, I'm going to interrupt you back because I'm a vulva and I can do that. But
what a vulva!
You nailed it right on the head. It's the IQ. High IQ people, they will succeed in any environment. They will find a way to succeed.
Okay, all right. So yeah, so my high school.
But also, could I add something? You were pointing out the women were getting advanced degrees instead of raising their fucking kids.
No, they did. Like a lot of them got advanced degrees, and then they got their degree and then became moms. Like there's one girl I reconnected with on Facebook, and her she married her college sweetheart, and you know he became a police officer, and now he is actually a deputy inspector, NYPD, which is that's above captain. It's a big deal. So, and you know they have 3 kids, and you know very successful, and you know very happy family, and you know almost like the TV show Blue Bloods. I mean, it's like I mean his brother is I'm not kidding. It's a whole cop. But
wait, just like Steele. What's your point?
That there seems to be a lot of people that were Gen Xers, despite being, you know, the problems with their parents, seem to be a lot more functional people than the millennials. Well, like it seems like it seems like we are functioning.
Steele, we're a nomad generation. The millennials are a hero generation. So that's like, yeah, functional. Like there were a lot of people doing perfectly fine during the Great Depression. Whereas everybody in World War II had a shitty life.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I like I said, you know, it was anecdotal. You know, and I don't really know what life is like for a millennial. You know, I mean, I guess I'm like an older Gen Xer, I guess.
Well, it seems to be very obsessed with ideology. I mean, they're so damn concerned with their outfits.
Yeah.
Like us Gen Xers, we had the punk scene and the goth scene and the alterna rock scene. And we kind of make fun of each other, but it's like at the end of the day, it's just whichever store we shopped at. These millennials wear their ideologies on their sleeves.
And a lot,
sorry, you go ahead, Hadrian.
I was going to say a lot of them seem to be obsessed with LARPing and playing house too. They're not serious about any kind of adult responsibility.
You know, people are mentioning Generation Zyklon coming up, and something important to recognize about Zyklon is that they're an artist generation. You know, I predicted World War III this year, and yeah, guys, it's happening. It's a civil war. It's going to be there might be a few spikes of events, but like it's happened. Okay, Charlottesville was World War III. How'd it go? Right, and I'm not fucking joking. That was World War III. There might be another flare up. Okay, but like it's happening. They're fighting it. They're punching each other on the goddamn internet. That was World War III. You're welcome. The Zyklon that are coming up, they're an artist generation. They're not a hero generation. They're not going to be fighting the war. I think this goes back to building Rivendell.
Some of the guys in your chat just don't understand natural law, do they?
What's being said?
Well, I mean, I've just been kind of browsing it as it's been scrolling, and I mean, there's a lot of frustration that's being expressed in the direction of women, and I think they just don't understand female hypergamy. Look, guys, it's a thing. It's a biological imperative, and I understand that that means that the guys at the bottom of the totem pole lose out, but you've got it better than the guys do in the animal kingdom. I mean, at least we have a civilization that gives the lower tier men a chance, versus in the animal kingdom they'd have no chance at all.
Guys, go out there and fuck a woman. I swear to God, just go out there and fuck a woman. Sitting around and being bitter that you're not fucking a woman is a graver sin than fucking a woman.
I mean, you can't blame women for hypergamy. It is literally a biological imperative that is hardwired in women. It is what they are hardwired to do because it is in the best interest of their offspring to do so. If guys want a woman, go become a man worthy of a woman. Climb the dominance hierarchy. Rise to the top.
Ride the lobster, faggots.
I mean, you got to compete with other men for a place at the top.
Listen, what I'm trying to do with this channel is I'm trying to motivate you. Here's that you guys, you've got every excuse in the world to do the 2D waifu thing. And like somebody was joking about that. By the way, when is 20 better than 30? Just add 2 pixels or 4 pixels. The 2D is better than the 3D. That's a funny joke. Well, you got every excuse in the world to have a 2D waifu and to play video games and to whatever, to be mediocre. All right? You guys can sit around with a second-gen computer, play all the games you want, jerk off to all the porn you want, and it's every justification in the world. All right? And you're no different than the girls that are giving their soul to the corporation and getting banged out by Chad on the weekend and spending all their money on a matching set of drapes for their empty fucking apartment that their dog shits in all the time. All right? Like, the men and women of every generation deserve one another.
Well, okay, and they're making a fair point here by saying that, that men are competing with the state. Okay, guys, if you are competing with the state, then you are competing with the wrong type of woman. The type of woman who's going to turn you out for the state is not the type of woman that you want. And there are actually women out there who despise the state. I happen to be one of them. I don't want anything to do with the state. I'm just saying, like, they do exist. You just have to find them.
95% of people love Big Brother. Okay? 95% of the guys. And actually, like, there's so much envy of the Chads. Like, the guys, Chad is addicted to the system. Yeah, Chad's banging out Asian pussy left, right, and center, but he's got no future. He's just as addicted to the system as the guy that's obsessing over World of Warcraft is. All right? 95% of people are addicted to the system. 95% of people aren't going to show up in the future. Stop. Like, damn it, guys, go. It is good and right that a woman wants an exceptional man. She doesn't just want loser cum in her. She wants winner cum in her.
She's biologically designed to want the best for her offspring. That is why she makes those choices. She wants the best genes. It's the way nature designed it. If you don't like it, take your complaint up with nature.
And listen, I get it. We got this whole damn system right now that's destroying everybody, and you have to compete with the state, right? The state is 6 out of 10. So if you were a 5 out of 10, 50 years ago, you could get a 5 out of 10. Well, now the 5 out of 10, she's going for the state. So guys, you need to be in the top 20%. You need to be in the top 20, 40%. You need to fight for it. The good news is nobody else is fighting for it. Nobody else is even fucking trying.
Right. So if you get into a mindset of becoming competitive and working your way into that top 20 or 40%, you've got a good chance. You've got a better chance than the guys who aren't doing anything except jerking off to porn and playing video games and complaining about it.
500 years ago, if you weren't in the top 20%, you got to have a wife. and then your kids were sent away for war and they all died. These days, you get porn. Get into the top 20%. Get into the winning side of the Pareto principle.
Well, in fairness, like I do understand the frustration of some of these men when I became aware of this whole incel thing, or became aware of a forum for it. There, by definition, people can't get into the top 20% because, but if everybody improves themselves, the percentage is still going to be the same. So women are still going to go for that. They're still going to go for the top 20%. You know, the 80-20
so stop playing by the damn rules. I mean,
well, I'm not offering any solutions here. I'm just stating. I'm just trying to state.
Okay.
You got the carpenter and you got the walrus, you know, and the carpenter represents Christ, and walrus is the Eastern religions with their weird voodoo gods, and they're just getting everybody to run faster and faster while staying in the same damn place. Yeah, we get that. Guys, break the fucking rules. Okay, the system is going down, man. The system is going down. It's got a life expectancy on it, and that little wristwatch, it's ticking away, and it's not too long until the crystal on Logan's hand is going to turn red. And that's when the executioners come for you to retire you. It's coming. Pick which side you're going to be on.
Well, I mean, it all comes down to, I guess, what a person wants. If a guy wants a woman, okay, do what it takes to get a woman that you want. If you don't really want a woman, if you would rather complain about it, fine, accept your lot.
Yeah, and in fairness to like the guys complaining, I really don't know what it's like for a guy who's like, you know, 22 or, you know, in college. I have no idea what kind of dynamic they're dealing with. I will say this, guys, when you get older, it gets easier. You know, if you know, for meeting women, if you're willing to date, you know, closer to your age, that, you know, I mean, look, you can always just go out and bang a single mom any day of the week. So if you're just looking for sex, it's pretty damn easy. So
Burrell Journey says complaining about women is just old hat. I'm even starting to get sick of Roosh, to be honest.
What does complaining accomplish? Nothing constructive.
You know, guys, stop looking for a mummy. Start. You need to be ready to not have it if you're ever going to get it. You can't be thirsty. You can't be desperate.
I think some of these guys just want to complain. They don't want a woman. They don't want children. They don't want a relationship. They don't want to have anything better. They just want to complain.
And it's frustrating because that's not a solution, guys. By the way, we had a super chat earlier asking for my favorite story on Matt Fournier.
Oh, Terror House, yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I meant to answer that. Sorry.
Actually, do either of you have a favorite story? Because I can't name one.
I can't remember what it's TJ. I like TJ Martinell. He wrote two. One I can't remember the title, but it takes place in Seattle. I like that one, and the other one was kind of a futuristic AI kind of 1984. These are both short stories, which is not really my. I'll be fair. I'm not really. I'm more into novels than short stories, but I am beginning to appreciate the short story format. And so T.J. Martinell is someone I've been watching, and I did read a bunch of what's the Letters from a Heartbroken Pervert or whatever it is. He's kind of hit or miss with me, but those are some of the stuff I like there. And I'm not really into the poetry. I know there's a lot of poetry on Terror House Magazine. It's not my thing, but I understand it gets a lot of hits. As I was talking to Forney about that, he said they were shocked at how many hits their poetry gets. But that's not really my thing. But you guys, what do you guys like on there?
Oh, I haven't had an opportunity to read anything. I haven't even had an opportunity to read the things that are on my reading list from this year.
Get busy, woman.
Oh God, I am busy. You have no idea how busy I am.
Davis, what would you like on that?
Oh, gee, I'm going to go with Heartbroken Pervert as well, even though half of it disgusts me because it resembles my sex life way too closely.
Yeah, some of it's a little like TMI. So he's kind of is they're kind of hit or miss. But TJ Martinell is oh, by the way, I interviewed him, TJ Martin, on my channel. So, he's a young guy, young author, and he's lives in the Pacific Northwest, but not. I mean, he lives in the mountains. But he's a good guy. So if anybody's interested in that stuff, check him out.
Kaku sends a super chat saying, "Stop complaining. Put the damn pineapple on your pizza." You know what? Seriously, guys, instead of watching a video about how women suck, go get
instead of watching a video about why women suck, get a woman to suck you.
Exactly. Like, listen, I got like that date that completely blew up. I enjoyed that. All right, guys, I really enjoyed that. You know, learn to. I don't know. I actually really enjoyed pissing women off by not buying into their bullshit. One time I told a girl your HPV is showing and she completely flipped out at me. I kind of enjoy that. I don't like tots. Okay, but here's the thing. When I don't like tots, it's because I know I can get them into bed. I know I can get what I want. It's that I don't want that. I don't want a McDonald's hamburger. I want something nutritional. Whereas this bitterness that you get at women, it seems to come from guys that can't afford a McDonald's burger.
Oh, that's pretty bad if you can't afford McDonald's. But I mean, I can understand how you can't afford a filet mignon, but can't afford it.
Like shit, guys, just go out there, put on your cool face. Okay, I'm not saying you have to sleep with her, but like if you're bitching about women not having sex with you, you obviously want to have sex. Put on your cool face, get a douchey shirt, undo the top 2 buttons, get swole, and take some faggy pics of yourself, put them on a damn dating site, and pose a bunch of mysterious goddamn questions, and message girls and say she's got problem glasses. Message her and say your glasses aren't big enough. It's not that fucking hard. Go out there and do it, and then stop bitching and start looking for quality.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of great lines you can use. I mean, one of the ones I had really great success with is I said to a woman, I said, "Did you have to pay extra to keep the when you got your hair dyed to keep the roots darker?"
There's this.
No, I swear to God, I've gotten laid using that.
Oh, of course.
The woman spends the rest of the night justifying to you why she couldn't make her appointment to the hair salon because she was this. I mean, talk about a woman that's desperately trying to validate herself, and talk about totally. So the whole night she's totally so self-conscious about everything else about her. But it's all in the delivery how you do it.
There's this thing I just started following it on Facebook, and it's this what's it? It's like Help Holly Smash or something like that. It's this cute blonde girl that films these videos of herself, but she distorts her jaw and she plays a bunch of different characters. And like the main character is this girl named Holly or something who's always trying to fuck Steven, right? But Steven hates her and she's like fucking weirdo and a creep. And it's just like all these awkward, dysfunctional family dynamic videos. Anyway, she has this one video, pickup lines, where she's just doing all these just fucking terrible pickup lines. She's like, hey, Steven, do you have a tissue? Because my clam is wet.
Oh, man.
Ooh.
And I'm seriously thinking that I might just steal some of these terrible fucking pickup lines and start using these on the dating apps. Because, nobody else does that. It's like, 9 girls will say, fuck this guy, and then one will say, ha, he's funny. Boom, you got a date. It's not that fucking hard, dudes. Go do it. Stop being a faggot. Go do it. Send duckface selfie, says EC2189 Kaku. Be Mr. Big for the night. Yeah, exactly. Jeez, like my buddy, he's got the douchiest pic I've ever seen of him shotgunning a Red Bull in a wool coat. It is the douchiest pic I have ever seen in my life, and the ladies love it. Just do it, Lals, says, can you believe it? Guys, what I want is some men with some fiery dispositions that can be tempered into real men. I'm not looking for a bunch of limp noodles to put into a pastry. Anyway, we've been going.
Yeah, we gotta
for
wrap it
Yeah,
up.
it's like 3 hour over. Yeah, 3 hours, something like that.
Any final thoughts, Steele?
Just tune into Hadrian, you just take it. I just fucked it up.
Tune in to John Steele's live stream this Wednesday at did we decide on 7 p.m. Eastern?
Yes.
7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about Germanic paganism or just paganism and
Paganism, Indo-European paganism.
yeah, and like some Joseph Campbell heroes mythology type stuff, and I'm sure we'll talk about some masculinity too. We usually do. How to raise that Judalini.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's how to raise
Guys, get the Judalini on the way up, okay?
And
negativity and bitching. Get your Judalini juices going.
and send Aurini some chakras because he's been working hard here all night.
My chakras are out of line, guys.
Yeah, gotta get us a chakra in alignment. So.
All right, folks. Thanks everybody for listening in. And again, just like I fucking hate positivity, guys. Fuck positivity. Don't be positive. Be cynical bastards. But go out there and kick ass nonetheless. All right. Deus Volt. God bless all of you. This is Aurini out.